إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this gathering. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower His mercy upon you, my brothers and sisters, whatever you may be. This topic of al-Jinn is such an amazing topic. And the reason why we chose to talk really about this topic is that there's something like the difference between a myth and a reality. There's a lot of myth out there about this world of a jinn. But in fact, the purpose is really to shed some light from the Qur'an and the Sunnah on this world of the jinn, and let people know, about this world of the jinn. Insha'Allah ta'ala, I will assure you, bi'idhnillah, at the end of this course, as the norms, people tend to be scared of something called jinn. But insha'Allah, after the end of this lecture, you will be armed with not weapons of mass destruction. You will be armed with enough knowledge, insha'Allah ta'ala, to not only protect yourself, but to know more about this world of jinn, and it will be, inshallah ta'ala, from now on, you won't be, no longer be when you hear something called jinn, you won't have that fear, as the fear should be the fear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the fear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let me share with you, first of all, an agenda of what we're going to talk about, or the topics that we will cover today, inshallah. We will talk about the world of jinn, their creation, their dwellings, the reasons for black magic, witchcrafting, epilepsy, precursors, testing for witchcrafting. How can you test whether you've been hit by some black magic? Kinds of also witchcrafting. There's different kinds of witchcrafting. The cure from witchcrafting, and how to protect oneself. It's extremely important, this is the safeguard. And also we'll talk about briefly the evil eye and how to protect yourself from the evil eye. So these are the, basically, normally this lecture is split into like 5 series of lectures, which I'm trying to condense and then deliver it for you, my brothers and sisters, tonight. But first, I'd like to show a little video. Nothing scary, nothing really, just a little video just to put things into perspective. Could you shoot that, please?
عندما يتحدث الجني من داخل المريض، هل يتحدث بصوت المريض أم بصوت آخر؟ يعني دائما يقال أن يتلبس الرجل جنية والعكس صحيح.
يعني كلها تحدث. كلها تحدث. أحيانا يتكلم بصوت رجل، أحيانا يتكلم بصوت امرأة، أحيانا يتكلم بصوت طفل، أحيانا ينبح مثل الكلب، أحيانا يناهق مثل الحمار والعياذ بالله. يعني كل هذه المسائل التي ذكرتها نعم تحدث.
يعني في التقرير كان في قطع قماش تقول يعني أخرجتها من طفلة صغيرة، أيضا لديك قصص كثيرة.
أنا لم أخرجها.
نعم.
أنا لم أخرجها. نعم. هي خرجت بنفسها.
نعم نعم. يعني اشرح لنا الفكرة.
نعم. الفكرة يا عزيزي، أنا ممكن يعني أخليك تطلع على هذا الشيء. نعم. الآن هو موجود عندي. نعم. هذا يعني لو نحن الآن جبنا هذا ووضعناه أمام جميع دكاترة العالم في العالم كله، وقلنا لهم بأن هذا يخرج من رحم أو من فرج امرأة طبيعية متزوجة، لا يصدق ذلك. فكيف بنا عندما تكون هذه الفتاة بكر، وعندما يكون عمرها في سن الزهور، يعني 14 سنة أو 13 سنة، ويخرج منها هذا، يعني طبعا هذا شيء يعتبر شيء غير طبيعي وغير يعني ما يمكن حدوثه في جوف إنسان، ولكن هذا حدث.
يعني هذا التي بين يديك قطعة القماش يعني لا تشبه التي في التقرير، يعني هل هي أخرى أو إن
هي مجموعة كبيرة يا أخي الكريم. هي هذه شوفها
كلها خرجت من طفلة 14 سنة.
كل هذه شوف يا أخي شوفها،
هذه من طفلة واحدة فقط؟
هذه من طفلة واحدة طلعت على فترات مختلفة وليس في فترة واحدة. اليوم اتصلت في أمها، أرسلت لي رسالة وقالت إنه أبشرك إنه آخر قطعة طلعت من البنت ولم يحدث لها مشكلة.
طيب عذرا شيخ، بس يعني لم تفقد في بكارتها هذه الفتاة إلى الآن حتى؟
سبحان الله، سبحان الله. هذا الذي يعني كما ذكرت لك قبل شوية إنه في ذاكرتي لن تغيب هذه الفتاة عن ذاكرتي.
شيخ من ماذا كان
هنا الإعجاز.
شيخ منير، من ماذا كانت تعاني أو ما هي العوارض التي كانت ظاهرة على هذه الفتاة؟
فيها تلبس من الجن، والجن يعني يخرج بعض الكتابات والأوراق من داخل، حتى تستفرغ بعض الأحيان ورقات صغيرة مكتوب عليها إنه البنت هذه لن تتزوج، البنت هذه يعني لابد أن تفعل الفاحشة كذا كذا، يعني أمور كلها شنيعة والعياذ بالله.
Okay, so what the Shaykh was showing there is basically those type of cloths coming off of a virgin girl, and that girl never lost her virginity, subhanallah. And the Shaykh said that this girl was basically possessed by the jinn. So now let's go back and talk about this amazing world of the jinn. After the sanctions, my brothers and sisters, after the sanctions, because we need to have some history here. After the sanctions that were exercised against the Muslims, against the Prophet ﷺ, the persecution that the Sahaba have gone through, the torture by Quraysh to the Muslims and to the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ, as you may know, he went to Ta'if as he was looking for basically people who could embrace the religion of Islam, as he was finding it pretty much difficult in Mecca. So he moved to Ta'if, trying to call the people of Ta'if, and you know the story of what happened in Ta'if. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to alleviate some of the pain on the Prophet ﷺ. As he went to Mecca, tried to call people, kicked him out from Mecca. He went to Ta'if, trying to call people to the religion of Islam. People from Ta'if, they beat him with rocks and hit him with rocks to the extent that he started bleeding, alayhi salatu salam. They broke his, teeth, alayhi salatu salam. His feet were bleeding, alayhi salatu salam. So you could imagine the suffering and the hardship that the Prophet, alayhi salatu salam, was enduring. And by the way, look at you here. I mentioned the Prophet, alayhi salatu salam, so many times, and I could not hear maybe a few of them who were saying, alayhi salatu salam. And the rest, the Prophet, alayhi salatu salam, says, whosoever, whenever my name has been mentioned, and whosoever does not make salat on me, he's not generous. In fact, if you want to be among, with close to the Prophet ﷺ, his neighbor in Jannah, those who makes and send the salam upon him, alayhi salatu wasalam. So when you hear the name of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, say sallallahu alayhi wasallam or alayhi salatu wasalam. So what happened was, as we were talking about, the Ta'if and whatnot, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to alleviate some of the sufferings on the Prophet ﷺ. So what happened? Instead of humans embracing Islam, the jinn, on the other hand, started embracing Islam. The jinn were looking. They heard about this Prophet ﷺ, so they went around looking for this Nabi ﷺ. What used to happen before the coming of the Prophet ﷺ, the jinn, they used to hear the news from the angels. The news, all angels will be talking that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless so-and-so with a boy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless so-and-so with a wife. So they used to hear this news from the heavens, and they used to relate those news to witchcrafters. As people used to believe in witchcrafting. So they would go to those sorcerers and soothsayers and charlatans and fortune tellers, telling them about the news of the heavens, and then they would go and then narrate those news. So basically, when the Prophet ﷺ came, with his message, the jinn could no longer hear what was happening on the news from the heavens. But there was a news that there was the coming of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is in the Qur'an, and also there's a hadith in Bukhari reported by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. As Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was with the Prophet ﷺ. And then the Prophet went, a little further, and then Abdullah sat. When he sat, he saw the Prophet ﷺ. There were some people who were some different creations gathering around the Prophet ﷺ. Gathered around him so much so that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud could not see the Prophet ﷺ. So Abdullah moved and he went to see, the Prophet. So what's happening to him? The Prophet ﷺ, gave a sign to Abdullah to stay back. There were the jinn come in. Are these the jinn in their, existing, physical, basically, shape? We will talk about whether you can see, technically speaking, whether you can see the jinn or not. The Prophet ﷺ gave him a sign to stay back. And then these were the jinn who came, asking the Prophet ﷺ about Islam, and they embraced Islam. So this is the first acquaintance of jinn, and these were the jinn from Nusaybin, the city called Nusaybin. The city is called Nusaybin. It's in Sham, in the Sham. So now al-jinn. What is al-jinn? But before, let me just tell you some of the resources or the sources that I basically relied on when doing this research. Some of the books. One of really a prominent book called the Book of the Jinn and the Devils in the Light of the Qur'an and the Sunnah. It's a really, really good book by Shaykh Umar al-Ashqar. It's one of the most authentic books I found out there that talk about the word of the jinn and ash-shayateen in the light of the Qur'an and the Sunnah. There's another great book by Shaykh Abdul Salam Bari, Protection from Jinn and the Devils. وقاية الإنسان من الجن والشيطان. It's a very well-known book. وقاية الإنسان من الجن والشيطان. There is another interesting book that I found out just a few years ago. Interview with the Jinn. Interesting. Interview with the Jinn. This sheikh who apparently was doing some ruqya on someone, and then the Jinn spoke in the voice of that person who was possessed, and he had this interview with the Jinn, asking him questions. We'll talk about whether when you hear something from a shaitan or the Jinn, do you believe them? Do you believe anything they say? Or do the Jinn basically, can they dwell human bodies? Can they come into different forms? Can you see them? So these are some of the questions that we will cover, inshallah ta'ala. What is the Jinn? Linguistically, Jinn, I don't know if you're taking notes, but I'm doing this presentation just to make it easy for you to basically take notes. Al-Jinn is the opposite of Ins. Jinn is opposite of Ins. When you say anastu shay'an in Arabic, Ins is humans. Ins in Arabic is human. Jinn is Jinn. In Surah Al-Qasas, ayah number 27, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Musa, قَالَ لِأَهْلِهِمْ كُثُوا إِنِّي آنَسْتُ نَارًا إِنِّي آنَسْتُ نَارًا. He said to his family, I perceived a fire. I saw a fire. This is Musa. آنَسْتُ نَارًا, which means ins is from something that you can see. Ins, it's something that you can see, something that you can feel comfortable with. Whereas jinn, it is something that is hidden, that is concealed. So this is the main difference linguistically between ins and jinn. Ins is something that you can see, whereas jinn is something that is hidden. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an says, this is in Surah Al-Najm, ayah number 32, وَإِذْ أَنْتُمْ أَجِنَّةٌ فِي بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ وَإِذْ أَنْتُمْ أَجِنَّةٌ فِي بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ. You, as your babies in the womb of your mother, أجنة. وإذ أنتم أجنة, from jinn, أجنة في بطون أمهاتكم, in the womb of your mother. You were hidden in the womb of your mother. There is another ayah in Surah Al-An'am, ayah number 76, about Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he longed to see his Lord. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عليه الليل. Jannah, from jinn again. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ. When the night covered him. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ. Which means, again, another evidence that jinn is something that is hidden, covered. You can't see. Whereas ins is something that you can see. When you say in Arabic, جَنَّ الرَّجُلُ, in Urdu, you say majnoon. In Arabic is majnoon. What's majnoon? جن الرجل. يعني غاب عقله. He lost his mind. He lost his mind. You can't see his mind. He lost his mind. Majnoon. From jinn. Again, you can't see the jinn, basically. But we will talk a lot more about this. Who was created first, the jinn or the ins? What's the evidence? What? Here we go. The jinn were created before man. The jinn were created before man. And this is in Surah Al-Hijr, ayah number 26, 27. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ مِنْ حَمَإٍ مَسْنُونٍ وَالْجَانَّ خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ من نار السموم. من قبل is before. So we created the man from sounding clay, from mud, molded into stages. And the jinn race we had created before from fire of a scorching wind. This is in Surah Al-Hijr, ayah number 26, 27. Jinn, are they Muslims, non-Muslims, believers, non-believers, Sikh, Hindus? What are they? They are basically just like humans. They are, some of them are believers, some are not, some are Muslims, some are Jews, some are Christians, some are Hindus, some are, just basically like humans. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Qur'an, in Surah Al-Jinn, ayah number 14, وَأَنَّا مِنَّا الْمُسْلِمُونَ وَمِنَّا الْقَاسِطُونَ. Amongst us are Muslims. Amongst us are Muslims, and there are others who are not, wrongdoers. So they are good jinn. In fact, my brothers and sisters, there could be jinns sitting with us today, and we welcome them. And we say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. The believing jinn, the jinn, mu'min jinn. Right? So the existence of the jinn, it is something that actually is proved from the Qur'an and the Sunnah. The existence of the jinn, it is proven in the Qur'an and the Sunnah, and also from the consensus of Ahl al-Ilm. Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayhi says that the existence of jinn is proven in the Kitab and the Sunnah and the consensus of Ahl al-Salaf. He says, similarly, the fact that jinn can dwell in human bodies is also proven by the consensus of Ahl al-Ilm. Because some people do not believe that jinn can dwell in human bodies. There's a hadith in Bukhari and Muslim and Ahl al-Sunan about this woman who came to the Prophet ﷺ, and she had a baby, she had a son who was possessed. The son was possessed. So the Prophet ﷺ went to his ear and then he says, "Ukhruj adu Allah, inni Rasulullah." Ukhruj. Ukhruj in Arabic means come out. Come out. So what comes before coming in? No, you guys, where did your brothers come in from? From the window. Where did your brothers come in from? From that door, right? So you came in from that door. When you leave, are you going to leave from the window or from the door? Hopefully from the door, right? So the Prophet says, ukhruj. Before khuruj was dukhul. In Arabic, there's something called khuruj, exit, dukhul, entry. So when the Prophet says, ukhruj adu Allah, come out adu Allah, which means that there was dukhul before. There was dukhul, which means there was an entry. So the Prophet was telling, ukhruj adu Allah, ana Rasulullah. Come out, enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Come out, enemy of Allah. I am Rasulullah. So it is proven that dwelling in human bodies is also proven by the consensus of Imams, Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahmatullah, Imam Ahmad. Imam Ahmad, when sometimes he used to when people used to, let's say, people who are possessed or been hit by black magic, they would go to Imam Ahmad, and then Imam Ahmad, to basically to do some ruqya, for them. Imam Ahmad would just send his shoe. You just take my shoe and take it there, take it to that person. The jinn will know that this is the shoe of Imam Ahmad, they will run away. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our imams, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower His mercy upon them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also, Ibn Taymiyyah says about the ayah from the Qur'an, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, those who eat riba, those who deal with riba, with usury, will not stand in the day of resurrection except like standing of a person bitten by Shaytan, leading him into insanity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, this is in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 275, الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس. الذي يتخبط الشيطان من المس. So the people who deal with riba, as Allah Azza wa Jalla says, people who deal with usury, will not stand in the day of resurrection except like standing of a person beaten by Shaytan, a person being hit by Shaytan. So this is another evidence that they can dwell human bodies, and then we'll talk a lot more about that insha'Allah ta'ala. There's a hadith in fact in Bukhari. Hadith in Bukhari, and this is a beautiful hadith narrated by Safiya. Safiya, who's Safiya by the way? The wife of the Prophet, Safiya bintu Huyay. Safiya bintu Huyay. This is in Bukhari. The Prophet was walking with Safiya at night, and then some Sahabis, some people from the Ansar, a couple men from the Ansar, they walked by, and then they saw him. They saw the Prophet with a woman. And as they moved, he called them, come, come. This is Safiya. This is my wife, Safiya. They didn't say anything. But the Prophet ﷺ didn't want them to have these bad, ill thoughts about the Prophet ﷺ. Who's the Prophet with, yani? The Prophet didn't want to have him, to have those bad thoughts. So he said, this is my wife. This is my wife. This is Safiya. Ya Rasulullah, we have any doubts? And then the Prophet ﷺ says about the Shaytan flows through the son of Adam as blood flows. Shaytan flows through the son of Adam as Shaytan flows, as blood flows. Shaytan flows in son of Adam. Okay. With regards to their lives and dwelling places, they are like other creatures. They have their own lives, they get married, they have children, they have offsprings, parents, they produce, they have their own, kids. But where do they like to basically live? We need to know, where do they like to live? They basically like to live in very, let's say, ruins and unclean places. So they like these, like places like toilets. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ used to tell us, the dua of entering the toilet. So toilets, dump yards, garbage dumps, deserted places. Why deserted places? You don't know that, jinn, they are afraid of something called ins. They want to give you, they want to give you space. They don't want to be with you. They are afraid of you. Instead of you becoming, being afraid of them, they are afraid of you. That's why they don't want to live with you. They live in deserted places, deserts, oceans, filthy places, haunted places. It's an old house, nobody lives there. So they like these very, dirty places, far places, empty places. Why? They want to be far away from ins, from man. This is reported in Abu Dawood and classified as Sahih by Shaykh Al-Albani rahmatullah alayh, about these about the toilets inhabited by the devils. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ says the hadith, when you go inside the toilet, this is also in Abu Dawood, that a person would enter with what foot? Left foot, and come out with the right. And what do you say when you come in? Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubthi wal-khaba'ith. You seek Allah's help from and refuge from al-khubth, which are the male jinn, and al-khaba'ith, the female jinn. So they like to live in these garbage dumps and these ruins, unclean places. They also live in mosques. They also live in mosques. They live with pious people's houses. These are the Muslim ones, the Muslim jinns. In Al-Haram, Mecca, Medina, they have their own shuyukh, giving them lectures, just like humans. Muftis, jinn mufti, amongst the jinn. Again, just basically, it's a very wonderful, it's an intriguing world, but very similar to that of man. Okay, the shape, the form, the myth and reality. The form, the eyes, reds, horns and tails, and so this is when you talk about the jinn or the devil. This is how people normally picture them, and it's a myth. What's the reality? Allah Ta'ala a'lam. But we have certain ahadith from the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam that the form that the jinn they could take the shape of some animals. That could take the shape of some animals and humans. Like reported by Abu Huraira, the hadith in Bukhari. When Abu Huraira was guarding the bank of the Muslims, and came to him the Shaytan in the form of a man. And then what happened was, the story is wrong, but he caught him. He says, "You're trying to steal from the money of the Muslims." He says, "Oh, please, I'm going to take you to the Prophet ﷺ." He says, "Please let me go. I'm an old man. I have family. I have kids. I have, And then the Prophet, he let him go, but he told the story to the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet told him he will come back. And then he came back the second day trying to steal. He got caught. "Please let me go. I will not come back. I have kids. I have to feed." And so he let him go. And the Prophet told him, ﷺ, he said, he will come back. He will come back. For the third time, he says, "That's it. He said, I'm taking it to the Prophet ﷺ." He said, "Please let me go, and I will give you something. I will give you a golden advice." What is the advice? Shaytan giving advice. What is the advice? Ayatul Kursi before you go to sleep. And who says this advice? Shaytan. When the Prophet ﷺ, the Abu Hurairah told the Prophet ﷺ about this incident, he told him, "Sadaqaka wa huwa kadhub." Sadaqaka wa huwa kadhub. Kadhub from kadhib, which means lying. He's a liar, which means you don't believe. They're liars. But here, he spoke the truth. That, when you recite Ayatul Kursi before you go to sleep, no shaitan can harm you. In fact, let me tell you, you wanted to hear some of the stories, right? Are you ready? Ooh. Here's one. The Shaykh was, not this one, Shaykh Abdul Salam Bari. He was performing ruqya on someone who was possessed. And then the jinn spoke in the tongue, and we will give evidence. The jinn spoke in the tongue of that man who was possessed. And he says, "If you don't leave me alone, I will harm you. Leave me alone, I will harm you." He says, "You cannot threaten me." And this is the thing. You have to have firm belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who is the one who can harm? Everybody. Allah. Who is the one who can benefit? Allah. Who is the one who can give life? Who is the one who gives death? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to have this firm belief in Allah. He says, "You cannot harm me. I challenge you." He says, "I know your house, and I know where you live, and I know your family, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that." He says, "Fine, but come out from this man." He says, "Okay, tonight I'm coming to harm you." He says, "Come, marhaba, marhaba, welcome." And then the next day, the Shaykh went back again, doing his ruqya, trying to, reciting Qur'an on that man who was possessed. And then again, the genie spoke. He says, "Wallahi, I came to harm you. Let me even give you the evidence of how your home." He describes his home to him. He says, "I could not harm you. You know why? You recited Ayatul Kursi before you went to sleep. Allah has sent you an angel guarding you. I couldn't harm you." This is from a jinn to a human, basically. Reciting Ayatul Kursi before you go to sleep is a key. And sleeping with wudu, as we will talk when we talk about how to safeguard yourself. Sleeping in wudu, ala tahara, as much as you can, inshallah ta'ala. So, jinn, they take the shape of animals and of humans. In the Battle of Badr, there was a report also in the Bukhari that that the Shaytan appeared in the form of Suraq ibn Malik. So Suraq ibn Malik, he was calling, the Prophet has passed away, Muhammad died. So the Jinn took the form, or the Shaytan took the form of Suraq ibn Malik, who's a Sahabi. Also, the Shaytan also appeared in the form of Suraq ibn Ju'shum al-Mudlaji. He's another Sahabi. Suraq ibn Ju'shum al-Mudlaji. So they could appear in the form of humans or animals. And we'll talk about that as well. In fact, there's a hadith in Muslim narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. In Medina, the Prophet ﷺ, the jinns, they spread, and the Prophet ﷺ, told the people of Medina, if you see a snake in your home, don't kill that snake until you give it a warning, of 3 times, a warning. Come out or I will kill you. Come out or I will kill you. Come out or I will kill you. He says that could be a jinn in your home. So give that snake, if you see a snake in your home, or a black scorpion or a scorpion home, give it a warning before you kill that snake or that scorpion. This is in Sahih Muslim. Also, Nawawi explained this as well. Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayhi says something really nice. He says, jinn may lead people astray. The jinn, they may lead people astray by appearing in the form of saints. Some shaykh, some wali, as some people call wali. Like this, one of my students back in Morocco, he says, my mother came to me. This is a student, mashallah, who started, becoming more religiously committed, inclined. So, and he's growing a beard. His mother told him, you have to shave your beard. And he says, Mom, this is son of the Prophet ﷺ. I cannot shave my beard. So she had a dream, apparently. And then she came to him the next day. She says, I think it's the Prophet ﷺ. I think. A very good, nice man wearing a white, turban, white tobe, having a white beard. He's telling me, tell Abdul Aziz to shave his beard. Tell Abdul Aziz to shave his beard. And then says, Mom, that's Shaytan. That is not the Prophet. So they could come in a form of saints just to deviate people. So be careful. Okay, their waste. Do they have waste? Do they eat? They eat just like humans. So if they eat, then they must have waste. Okay, what happens to their waste? What kind of waste is it? In Bukhari, Ibn Mas'ud narrates the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ says, a person who misses Salat al-Fajr is a person whose the Shaytan has urinated in his ear or her ear. So this urine, is it a liquid, urine? Allahu A'lam. But it could be maybe from smoke. The Prophet says that Shaytan has urinated in your ear. Try, have you tried it? Maybe when you missed Salat al-Fajr and you woke up and you did this, did something come out from your ear? No, huh? So it could be, but the Prophet says the Shaytan has urinated in the ear of that person, which means it could be, Wallahu a'lam, as some people say, it could be that the urine is from smoke, not liquid, but they have waste as well, just like humans. Before I say this, how about their dress? How did they dress? Have we seen jinn? No, we haven't. I don't know about you, but the jinn, how did they dress? But the Prophet ﷺ said something interesting. This is in Bukhari as well, narrated by Abu Hurairah, that the Prophet ﷺ says, لا يمشي أحدكم في نعل واحدة. Do not walk on only one shoe. Why? Because the Shaytan likes these, he likes to walk on one shoe. Or he likes to sleep on the shade. If you're sitting on the shade between the sun and the shade, don't just go like half in the sun and half in the shade. Be in the sun or be on the shade. Don't be in the middle. Why? Because this is the type of this is how the Shaytan likes to be. He likes to sleep on his belly. He likes to wear only one shoe. So in Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ says, when you walk, when you wear in shoes, don't just wear one shoe and then, and have the other, foot barefooted. Make sure you either wear two, shoes or, both shoes, both pairs, or don't. Why? Because the shaitan, likes to, you're imitating the shaitan basically, if you're doing that. Can they be seen? Can they be seen? Technically speaking, as we said, jinn cannot be seen. Why? Because we explained the jinn and ins. Jinn is something that is covered, is something that is hidden, whereas ins is something that can be seen and can be... But they can be seen under certain conditions. What conditions? If they appear in the form of humans, or if they appear in the form of animals, they could be seen. Other than that, if somebody comes and tell you, I saw jinn, there are a lot of things happening and I've heard them all, maybe, I've seen it and I've seen that. Don't believe that. There's no evidence, neither from the Qur'an and the Sunnah, that the jinn can be seen. Right? They cannot be seen, technically speaking, again, unless they come in the form of humans. But here's something else. When the Prophet ﷺ says about they flow in the son of Adam as blood flows, they're extremely fast. There's a hadith in that as well. They're faster than the speed of light. Do you know the speed of light, what it is? 186,000 miles per second. 186,000. This is something happened to me personally, okay? With my students, we were in this masjid in Aqeedah, Toronto. And there was this boy who was actually, who's been possessed. So we've been trying to do ruqya on him. And I had like 4 or 5 big guys trying to hold him. And this guy is miskeen. Again, miskeen. What is the miskeen? Yeah. This guy's a little miskeen. He's just a little tiny guy. But 4 big guys couldn't handle him. What happened was he ran away from the masjid. We took a car, and in Toronto, snowy, very cold day, snow freezing. So we took a car, then he went, running, and we went, following him with the car. We couldn't see the guy. He just like the speed of light. I said, it's faster than the speed of light. And he was barefooted. And we saw the guy running on the snow, running in this field. He crossed the field, and we drove for about 5-10 minutes. We drove about 5-10 minutes to go to his home. He was there in his home. He was inside his home. We caught him in his home. How did he make it? Allahu Ta'ala A'lam. Allahu Ta'ala A'lam. But the guy is, subhanallah. I don't know how, he flew. We saw him, some of my students were seeing him. He said, Sheikh, walking like, and he was just, so the Prophet says, faster than the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second. They're faster than that. And in fact, this is one of the signs of black magic. When you see somebody, and we'll talk about this, somebody who's like, their eyes moving very fast. Very fast. Let me see here. No, you're okay. You're okay. Yeah. So this is one of the signs. Eyes moving very, very, very fast. They can appear in the form of a cat, black cat, black dog, or a dog. They like the color black. I don't know, for some reason, black. Snake. So these are some of the animals that could appear. How about the 6 categories of shayateen to pay attention to? There are 6 categories, as per some of Ahl-Ilm. There is one who's been appointed to whisper at the time of Salah. His name is Khazrab. The guy, the shaitan who comes at the time of Salah and then he whispers. That's his specialty, that's his job. He's been appointed to just come to you and then whisper at the time of Salah. There is another one, the one who likes to separate between husbands and wives. In fact, this is the most beloved to the big shaitan. And this is in Bukhari, in fact. Because the shaitan, he sits with, and we will talk about the shaitan, the master shaitan, the Malik al-Jan, who sits with his shayateen, they're giving him reports. So one shaitan says, I made this man commit zina. And shaitan, he just hears him. This is in Bukhari and Muslim, so it's a sound hadith. And another shaitan comes and says, I made this man steal. I made this guy do this. I made this guy do that. I made this woman do this. I made this woman make, remove her hijab. So they keep on, submitting their reports to him. And then one guy comes and say, I made one man separate from his wife. And he says, you're the man. Anta, come, anta. And then he will bring him and says, sit next to me. You're my beloved one. The one who separates between a husband and a wife. He is most beloved to shaitan. Be careful. Don't let the shaitan trick you. And those who are married, sometimes when you're arguing with your spouse, what? The shaitan comes and say, are you going to let her say that, huh? Are you a man? Are you going to let her say that? Why don't you respond? Respond. Tell her who's the boss. And then he goes to her. You think, you have to test him. You think he loves you. No, he doesn't. Go, tell him. Don't, because now, it's now or never. Now or never, so don't be quiet. Give him. Yeah. And then he goes to him again. Until you hear talaq. And that's what he wants, talaq. He wants to hear that word talaq. Been getting phone calls from, some people saying, Sheikh, so what's going on? And made talaq, but I was under anger. I was angry. Arguing with my wife, and then I issued anger. What should you say? So people, you have to be careful. So this is another category. What time is Salah? Just go through this category, and then we'll break for Salah, inshallah. The one who triggers fights in markets. There's another category of shayateen that just triggers fights in markets. The one who beautifies lies to people. It's a white lie. It's okay to lie. It's a white lie. It's okay. Yajuz. Yajuz, lying in what conditions? What are these conditions? 3 conditions. Which ones are these conditions? Number 1? War. Well, let's say, the enemy, basically you're going north, you can tell him I'm going south. This yajuz. How about the second, permissible type of lies? Yeah, everybody knows this one, to your wife. Yeah, to your wife. So what does that mean, to your wife? You lie to your wife? No. Let's say she wears perfume, say, MashaAllah. This perfume is the best perfume. MashaAllah, this dress is, maybe you're lying, but you're not like lying. This dress is, I bought you this dress, you know how much? I bought it for $1,000. What? You bought it for, it was on sale. Yeah, I bought it for $1,000. You're lying, but she might nail you if she understands, if she knows. So this type of lying is yajuz, halal. And then the third type of lie, to reconciliate between two. It is okay to go to one brother, tell him, listen, akhi, wallahi, that man, he wants to talk to you, akhi. He loves you, he wants to talk, but he's just afraid. He wants to talk to you, and then you go to the other man and you say the same thing. Basically, this guy, wallahi, akhi, he speaks good of you and everything. So he wants to talk to you. It's okay, yajuz to lie here in these conditions, in these instances. Number 5, the one who whispers at the time of calamities. At the time of hardship, calamities, he comes and then whispers, and then for women to slap their faces and to tear their clothes. And this is another shaitan who comes at the time of calamities. And there's other category, the one who comes, who makes people fall into adultery. So we'll pause here, inshallah ta'ala. We'll pray Isha, and then we'll pick up right after Isha, inshallah ta'ala, with some more very, very... I haven't got into anything yet. This is nothing. This is just like I'm just giving you an appetizer. Wait for the main menu, the main course, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma hamdik, shadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Bismillah walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. So we spoke about the different categories to pay attention of. The one appointed to whisper at the time of salah, the one appointed to separate between husbands and wives, the one who triggers fights in markets. From the hadith, which is in Bukhari Muslim, from the back, really, it's that whispering is disturbing the brothers here. So I would really request you, if you don't mind, please listen up. the most beloved sites in the places in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the masajid, and the worst, most hated sites or locations in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are markets. Markets. The one who beautifies lies to people, the one who whispers at the time of calamities, and the one who makes people fall into adultery. The Prophet ﷺ has indicated in several ahadith that the angels do not enter houses having statuses, pictures of humans and animals. These pictures of humans, it's been a big discrepancy amongst Ahl al-Ilm. But there's a hadith which is very sound and authentic that clarifies this discrepancy about statuses, that the angels do not enter houses that have those statuses, and also pictures of humans, basically. How about if I have a picture of let's say nature, nature, picture of it does not show the exact, let's say, figure. It doesn't show the eyes and the nose and the mouth, or either humans or not, or animals. As long as that picture doesn't show that details, that it's fine. Also, dogs. Angels do not enter a house whereby there's there are dogs inside. How about toys? There's a very well-known question about toys. Is it okay? Naam, as per Ahl al-Ilm, and this is the opinion I adopt, alhamdulillah. Shaykh bin Baz has made fatwa on this, and Shaykh Albani. It's all fine. Toys, as long as you have something that you do not dignify, meaning that there's some picture and then you just step in on it, like on a carpet, like a doll, like your Barbie. You throw in it, and it's thrown here and there. It's just not something that you value. It's fine. It is fine, even if it has the eyes and the nose. It's fine. Toys are okay in your homes, basically. Despite the discrepancy, but this is wallahu a'lam, the opinion that I found to be most correct. And there's a hadith in Bukhari about Aisha. She was playing with this. The Prophet asked her, "What are you playing with?" She said, "This is like horses." She had some horses at home, that she made, that she was playing with, like toys. The book that I read, the interview with the Jinn. This is not something that we would believe and something that we do not believe. We say Allahu A'lam, because there's nothing strong that can back the statement up. But this man, when he was talking to this guy to this jinni who spoke in the mouth of that person that was sick, he says, why pictures? He says, we are attracted to pictures. There's some sort of something that attracts the jinn to these pictures. So if you have something at home, cover it. Cover it up, if you have an album, as long as it's covered, it's fine. Videos are fine, But if you let's say, if you expose them, that's where the problem lies. That's where the problem lies. So try, if you have them, don't expose them. At least cover them, or let's say if you're talking about album again, cover the album up. It should be fine, inshallah ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ has mentioned this hadith. When someone, let's say, sleeping and then he wakes up to go, let's say, to the restroom or drink or something, then he wants to come back to his bedding, he should sort of wipe his bedding 3 times and say Bismillah, 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 3 مرات. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahim. You don't know who's been sleeping there, who might be there. So just, the Prophet, this is in Bukhari and Muslim, just say Bismillah and then wipe your bed. Bismillah. Where or when do they spread, this jinn? At what time do they come out? When do they spread? They spread, as per the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, at the time of sunset. That's why there's a hadith in sound that the Prophet ﷺ says, if your kids are playing outside, during sunset, let them go in, take them in. Why? Because that's the time where the shayateen sort of, they spread. They spread at the time of sunset. Until after sunset, then if you want to, if they want to come out again, they can. But right at the time of sunset, if your kids are outside, Bring them home. Bring them in. Na'am, Iblis' throne. So people have been talking about Iblis. Where is he? His throne. The Prophet ﷺ has reported, in a very sound hadith, which is in Muslim, reported by Jabir, that Arshu Shaytan, Arshu Iblis ala al-ma'. Arshu Iblis ala al-ma'. Inna Arsha Iblis ala al-bahr. Or Inna Arsha Iblis ala al-bahr. That the throne of Iblis, the throne of Shaytan, this is the master Shaytan. The master Shaytan. His throne is on water. Where? What water? What ocean? Allahu Ta'ala a'lam. But there are certain indications that could maybe tell us where his throne could be. There's another hadith where it says, Innahu, this is also in Muslim, Innahu عند برزخ الماء. عند برزخ الماء. What's a barzakh? A barzakh, it's like a partition, when you have the sweet water and the salty water, بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان, whereby the sweet water does not merge with the salty water. That's a barzakh. That's a partition. In this hadith, he says he is on this barzakh. His throne is on this barzakh. His throne is on this barzakh, which is again somewhere in an ocean. But now, I want to bring something up here. And this is again this in that book, the interview with the Iblis, with Shaytan, with Jinn. Have you heard of, I'm sure you may have heard of this, what is it called again? The Bermuda of Triangle. Triangle Bermuda. Triangle Bermuda, okay. That's basically it's something it's a barzakh. But what happens there? I mean, something that nobody could still explain up till today. Flight 19. Have you heard of Flight 19? That disappeared. All these flights and ships that disappeared. The Star Ariel, the Star Tiger, 1948, Star Tiger. The guy, they got the black box. They hear the guy saying, "I see something. I see something. I don't know what it is." And nobody could explain. I see something. I don't know what it is. And then they said, "Okay, we're sending help." It's been recorded. You can play it. You can find it on the internet. We're sending help. We're sending help. Is it okay? And then the guy comes back and he says, "No, I cannot control the plane. I cannot control the plane. I don't know what's this. I don't know what it is." And then he goes back again and he says, "Don't send nobody. Don't send no one. Nobody can help. Don't send no one." And then he just, after some time, disappeared. It's not only one flight, but there's so many flights that disappeared off of, and ships that disappeared off of this Bermuda. The Triangle of Formosa in Taiwan. It's another one where that a lot of really some crazy things were happening. So some said, does that mean that maybe the throne of Shaytan is there? Allahu Ta'ala a'lam, but it could be. It could be, but Allahu Ta'ala. There's nothing in the hadith or anything, but hadith says it's in a barzakh, it's in the ma, it's in Sahih Muslim, it's in somewhere in water, it's in barzakh bin al-ma, where, but here, based on these incidents, things happening that nobody could explain, it could be that his throne, his kingdom is there. He's got a kingdom, and he's got slaves working for him. All these shayateen working for this guy. The big, their sheikh, the Shaytan Iblis. So he's got slaves working for him, and he's got thrones, and he's got palaces, and so where it could be there. But Allahu Ta'ala a'lam. Again, all we know is from Sahih Muslim that the throne, his throne is on water. No. There's a hadith here that the Prophet ﷺ says, this is also sound authentic, that a man, when with his spouse, before doing any intercourse, he should say this dua: Allahumma jannibna ash-shaytan wa jannib ash-shaytana ma razaqtana. Allahumma jannibna ash-shaytan wa jannib ash-shaytan ma razaqtana, the hadith sahih, that the Prophet ﷺ says, that the man should say, a person should say, both the man, the male and female, the husband and the wife, before the intercourse, so Allah jannibna ash-shaytan, we seek refuge in you from the shaytan, and also from anything that you may bless us with. And the Prophet says, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were to bless him, were to bless that couple with a baby, let's say, that baby will not be harmed by the shaitan. Will not be harmed by the shaitan. Now, again, sihr or black magic. Black magic, akhi, ukhti, it is a contract. It is a contract between a witchcrafter and between a shaitan, a jinni. And here's something interesting for you. Look at this. This is a jinni contract. Can you read anything from that contract? Look at those symbols and those signs. This is a contract between a sahir, and between a shaitan jinni. In fact, you know whose contract is this? You'll be amazed if I were to tell you. This is David Copperfield's contract between him and 4 jinnis, shayateen working for him. All these people, the David Blairs, and I have no doubt that those guys are using jinnis working for them. David Copperfield, you guys know him? The guy that makes people split in half and this and that. Apparently, this is his contract. As you can see, these are symbols that nobody can, mumbo jumbo kind of thing, that nobody can understand. When ruqya on this woman, and then subhanallah, all of a sudden the guy spoke. What's your name? The first thing, don't just, and we'll talk about the signs of sahir. You have to be aware, there are a lot of people out there who are a bunch of crooks, with all due respect. So, and they just want money. And we'll talk about those. But again, if you want to do ruqya, do it with the Qur'an and the Sunnah. So we're talking about, what's your name? This is Kevin. Kevin, why come out from the, what do you, he says, we speaking to him, he's a Christian, he's not a Muslim. Come out from this woman. He says, no. So, no, you come out. He says, no, I love her. I said, what? He said, I love her. So you come out, Aduwallah. You come out, Aduwallah. No, I love her. But yes, but you still have to come out. How did you come into her? He says, she entered the washroom and she was naked. She didn't enter with her left, the sunnah of entering the washroom. She came into the she wasn't wearing hijab, that lady, that sister. She wasn't wearing hijab. So came into the washroom and he was there and he saw her. He fell in love with her, and that's how he got into, how he dwelled into her. Falling in love. Jinn falling in love in a human. That can happen. That's why you have the sunnah to protect yourself, which we'll talk about later on, inshallah ta'ala. If Allah is with you, can anybody harm you? We'll talk about this also. We'll talk about what Allah says in the Qur'an. Oppressing them. You're oppressing jinn, like putting hot water in sinks without saying Bismillah. A'udhu billah minash shaitanir rajim. You could be you've done some oppressing to jinn. Maybe some jinn who live in there, you pour hot water and then you burn them. And then they want to come and retaliate. I've seen it so many times happening. Under extreme anger, because ya akhi, when you are in the constant remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they cannot come into you. They cannot harm you. They can't. Wallahi alladhi la ilaha illa hu. Have your firm, belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are nothing but creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they are afraid of you. So if you harm them, and they find the right opportunity to come into a person. When? If that person is under extreme anger. That's why you say he's majnoon, ahmaq, majnoon, from jinn. Under extreme anger, they will come and they will try to find opportunities. If you, like you're remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they try to come and dwell into you, you will burn them. The Qur'an burns them, especially Surah Ayat al-Qudsi, burns them. So you're constantly members of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making dhikr. I will talk about wudu later on. These are the things that can help you, remain or basically save you and safeguard you. Under extreme anger, under extreme fear. Dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, this fear, we all sometimes experience that feeling. It's a normal feeling. Fear or anger is a normal feeling, but make a dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you indulge in prohibited acts, been doing something haram, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may just test you, and then they will just come and teach you a lesson. Some person is possessed. Why? Because that person was not kind to his parents. I've seen it so many times. He's disobedient to his parents, or he's doing haram, a lot of haram. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like here, test or trial. He tests him with some jinn or some black man or being possessed, so that person can come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Could be a test. Some precursors again. Insomnia, lack of sleep. When somebody, you cannot sleep, you try to sleep, but you sleep an hour or two, then you wake up, and then you sleep, and then you wake up and sleep and wake up, and you can't seem to have, a very good night's sleep. Insomnia. That could be one of the signs. That could be from jinn. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Not necessarily true, but it could be one of the signs. Lack of sleep. Recurrent caboose. We talked about this recurrent caboose and recurrent nightmares. Excess awakening at night. You just, every half an hour you wake up. Excess awakening. It could be. These are just signs, not necessarily true, but again, there's so many signs. Like when you go to a doctor, he asks for signs. What do you see? How do you feel? Do you feel this? Can you do this? Can you do that? So these are just some of the signs. Seeing animals in a dream, in a nightmare, like dogs, snakes, lion, mice, cats in the dreams. When you sleep, pressing against the teeth, like this. Can you, people who when they sleep, they press against their teeth? You hear that? Could be one of the signs. Not necessarily true. It could be, like when you sleep and you're pressing your teeth, you love doing it. I don't know. But some people who, it could be some of the, one of the signs of being possessed. Pressing against the teeth while asleep. Is it hadith sunnah? La akhi. No. But there's also something called experience. Based on the experience, working with people who've been possessed and whatnot, they all come up, there's these signs that are very recurrent, and pressing against the teeth while asleep is one of the signs that could also give the one who performs the cure maybe a sign that maybe this man is really possessed. Excess sleepwalking. Somebody who just does it all the time, he just excess, he's sleepwalking every day, every night. He goes to sleep. Could be one of the signs that maybe that person is possessed. Dreaming, falling off a cliff, we talked about it. Screaming while asleep. If, somebody who does that all the time again, he sleeps and then he wakes up screaming out loud. It could be one of the signs that that person is. Does that happen to you? Sometimes. Yo. Yeah. Because I'm just, it's all right. It's all right. Seeing oneself in graveyard or dump or deserted places in a dream. It has a lot about dreams, these being possessed. Now, how do we know? So seeing oneself, you see yourself in a graveyard, all the time, or in dump yard, or deserted places in a dream, being scared, afraid, somebody's trying to haunt you. Well, don't tell me you haven't felt this, okay, before? When you're sleeping and you cannot move. You want to move, but you can't. You want to see, you can't. Can't you, have you ever experienced? I have experienced it many times. That's maybe your qareen, playing games with you. Your jinn lives with you. So he's holding you. You want to say, A'udhu billah, A'udhu billah, Bismillah. And then you wake up, A'udhu billah, Sharaji. You wake up saying, Allahu Akbar, or takbir or something. You want to move and you can't. Yeah, it happens. That doesn't mean that you're possessed, but it's just that, that's one of the signs. Testing. All right. Somebody in the forum said, are we going to have live demos? All right. Who's that person? Arif, I believe. His name is. Is he here, that Arif? I want to test on him. Are you here, Arif? Because he's the one who answers, are we going to have some live demos? Yeah, we're going to have live demos right here. Arif, you're there. Come, man. I don't know what just you. Come here, buddy. We're going to do some testing for witchcraft and see whether you all possessed with Jinn. All right, this is what we're going to do. Don't worry. How do we know? How can I know? This is one of the signs. Some Ahl al-Ilm, they said, read on your right palm these verses. So I read on my, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to read on my palm these verses. You can do it on your own. Surah Ibrahim 42 to 52. Surah Ibrahim. Surah Ibrahim. 1 second. نعم. ولا تحسبن الله غافلا عما يعمل الظالمون until 52. هذا بلاغ للناس ولا هذا بلاغ للناس. This is in Surah Ibrahim. So you recite this surah on your palm, right palm. And then you recite Surah Al-Mu'minun 97 to 118. وَقُلْ رَبِّ أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ هَمَزَاتِ الشَّيَاطِينِ. All these verses that I'm mentioning here, these are verses that have something to do with, that talk about Iblis, that talk about Shaytan, that talk about the Jinn. وَقُلْ رَبِّ أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ هَمَزَاتِ الشَّيَاطِينِ. It talks about the Shayateen. This is in Surah Al-Mu'minun. And then you recite قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. And then you do this. So this is what I'm going to do. Here, come. I'm going to test it on you. Just to see if you got something. No. So basically when you read, you take your palm and then read Surah Al-Ibrahim, Surah Al-Mu'minun. You just do like this. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and then you recite. And then Surah Al-Mu'minun, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and then you recite. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق من شر غاسق إذا وقب من شر النفاثات في العقد من شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. So you recite these ayat, all of them, and then you put it on the forehead of the patient's, like eyes, in here. If he sees, do you feel dizzy? No, you're good. If he gets dizzy, if he sees a cross, you see a cross? No. Okay. If he sees a cross, if he's like he's gonna faint, that could be a sign that there's some witchcraft being applied on you, some black magic being applied on you. So you can do that, inshallah ta'ala, for yourselves. You don't have to have a sheikh to do it for you, but you can do it for yourself. So this is one of the tests for witchcrafting. نعم. It's so quiet here, my brothers and the sisters. They're very, I don't know, please, they're just talking about it. So I'm not done yet. No. We're not done yet. No. Kinds of witchcrafting. There are different kinds of witchcrafting. So we'll talk about the kinds of witchcrafting today, inshallah ta'ala. There's a type of witchcrafting to separate between husbands and wives, whereby the husband becomes incompetent. Impotent. I'm miskin, I just learned English yesterday, akhi. Impotent, yeah, incompetent, like you're not incompetent enough for. So you're impotent. Separating between husbands and wives is, what kind of witchcrafting? So you're so happy, you're coming, with your spouse. Now you're just, coming to see her. You're happy, and all of a sudden you're there, and then become like, nothing, like a bird. Can do nothing, become important. So you know what I'm talking about. No need to explanation. Extreme love and blind obedience. Somebody becomes extremely in love in his spouse or her spouse. She says, say meow, he says meow. Extremely blind. She says, go right, you go right. Go left, you go left. تعال روح قم stand up, sit down, you sit down like miskin. There was actually, let me share this with you. It's true, huh? Shaykh Riad with his stories. So in this conference, Muslim conference, the Shaykh was talking about, the problems and between husbands and wives, and how much now the husbands are becoming afraid of their wives. So he says, okay, now we're going to go and do a little thing here. All the brothers who are scared of their wives, please stand up. Everybody stood up, except one person. A guy, sitting, and the guy next to him said, oh, mashallah, Rambo, huh? You're not afraid of it? What's your secret? He was like, he said, Wallah, he said, she broke my legs, that's why I can't stand up. I wanted to stand up, but she broke my legs. Extreme love, blind obedience. And it happened, and I've seen it with my own eyes, to the extreme that, or to the extent that, they want to remove that black magic, because the wife now, she's complaining. I didn't want this to happen. I just want him to love me, but not this much, because he becomes like, he's not a man. He's not a human being anymore. He doesn't have a life. He just comes in and then, like a little dog, she's just pulling him. So she comes back to the same sahir who wrote to her, who applied that black magic, that witchcraft. She says, well, no, this is not extreme. This is too much. Wallahi, to the extent that he died. He died because there was so much sihr on him. He gave her another sihr to apply on him. She kept on applying too much sihr on her husband that miskin, the husband died. Eventually he died. He passed away. She says, I just want him to love me. Extreme love. That's one kind of... loving your spouse is a good thing. Don't misunderstand me. But I'm talking about that blind, like I said, meow, meow kind of thing. Yeah, that's the love I'm talking about. Imaginations and illusions. You start seeing things. What do you see? I just see things. I don't know. You just sit in here and then you see something. You see what it is. Illusions. It could be a sign of witchcrafting. That somebody has applied some, cast on you. Wal-iyadu billah. There's certain people who actually have not only imaginations, but they're illusions that they've been married and they're with their wives and from the Jinn, wal-iyadu billah. And some of them to the extent that they don't want to get married anymore. Why? Because they don't need to get married. Very, very, dangerous stuff. This witchcrafting. That's why the punishment of the sahir is al-qatl. The punishment of the one who practices witchcrafting in Islam is not even tawbah, it's a killing. Nah. Excess laziness. Another, kind of witchcrafting. Somebody who just always likes being alone. Excess headaches. Maybe the doctor can tell us. Isolation, always likes to isolate himself or herself. Always having pain. I was doing this this ruqya. By the way, don't come to me later on telling me for ruqya, because I stopped doing it. I don't perform the ruqya on people anymore. It's just, you get like 24/7 busy, constantly doing this. So I stopped it. I was doing it on one person, reciting Qur'an and then holding the place where it hurts. And then as soon as you hear, you hold that place. Come, I'll show you. Cool, no problem. Just no problem. So, okay, he's hurt in, so you hold, let's say, the forehead. Some people, they choose not to, just to read. Okay, you're the doctor. For me, the one who performs this ruqya is a doctor. He's a doctor, so I can touch. I can touch even for sisters, but not there are certain areas where they cannot. Right, but okay. Here, especially the backs. For the sisters, normally when they're hit by witchcrafting and black magic, normally they have pain in their backs. Normally, right? So let's say you hold the back or the place where it hurts, and then you recite very close to the ear, right ear, right? Yeah, right ear, and then you recite, and I will tell you the ayat, and then you see this person, feeling pain and then some people, screaming, and then says, no, the pain is on my neck, and then I hold the neck. I hold the neck and I start reciting again. Keep on reciting. And then it moves. What does it move? Oh, in my leg. And then I hold the leg. It just keeps moving around, subhanAllah. That's why the Prophet ﷺ says, يَجْرِي مَجْرَى الدَّمِ. He flows, the son of Adam, like the blood flows. Like the blood, how it flows. So fast. Here you hold and then you read and it moves here and then you move here and then you move there. Ajib, this word, ajib. Jazakallah khair. sudden paralysis in one of the organs. He's fine. They take him to doctors. Nobody knows. He's been paralyzed or she's been paralyzed, but there's nobody knows what's happening. They do some X-rays and whatnot. Nobody could know what could be the reason of this, of this sudden paralysis. It could be from witchcrafting. It could be from Wallahi alladhi la ilaha illahu. Let me tell you. You want to hear some funky stories again? One more. Here it is. This is for everybody. It's cool. I'm not, I'm full of them, a lot of stories, but I'm not going to mention. There's certain things that I cannot really talk about here, really. Like seeing people flying. No, I'm not going to mention that one. Here's one. Wallahi, it happened. There's this witchcraft, this sahir, who's very well known in this tribe, in this village. And anybody who wants to get married, he has to go and pay that sahir money, so that they can, because the Sahih is very well known, he's threatening the people, and nobody can get married until they have to come and they have to see me and I have to give him, this, this ta'weez, he's getting money. And in that village, there was a very, mashallah, pious young imam. And that imam wanted to get married. And the imam, he used to, speak against that sorcerer. And used to tell people he's a kadhab, he's a liar, he's a magician, he's a witchcrafter, be careful. And the guy threatened him, he says, you can't get married. Once the day when you get married, you'll be, like the brother said, important. So then this little youngster, he went to a sheikh, which I know personally. And he told him, listen, this is what this guy is, it's like a challenge. He said, well, let me tell you something. Yes, challenge him. And then you come and you tell me. First, go challenge him and bring everybody in town. They have to hear this challenge. You say, I'm going to get married and I'm going to marry my wife and nothing will happen to me. And if you are a man, you're a sahir, do something. Do whatever you can. Go challenge him first and then you come to me and I will tell you what to do. And then he came and then he says, okay, I did it. So and I'm scared. What should I do? He says, okay, here it is. He says, here's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Protect yourself with this ad'iyah. Protect yourself with this dhikr. And then when you come with your wife, this is what you should say. This is where you should, do this, the dua of the Prophet ﷺ, and make dua and then pray 2 rak'ah with her. He explained the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, from A to Z. This is what you should do. Go and do it. And put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the morning, that's what happened. Nothing happened. He came out. He was happy. He had a very beautiful night with his wife. He called that sahir. The sahir lost. And people started believing that this man is a liar. He couldn't do nothing to this boy who challenged him in front of the entire town. Put your trust in Allah. Wallahi, one time in Iqna, this man came with his family. They brought bags of ta'weez coming from this guy who, you know how much money they spent? Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Of this liar, put this under your pillow, this in your backyard, this in your front yard, He's been for 3 weeks, we've been seeing this man and his family. For 3 weeks, he's been every week, every Sunday, he used to come and see us. Every Sunday, he would come and bring us a bag of ta'weez. He says, we cannot treat you until you bring us all this ta'weez so that we can, burn them and do something. Musibah. People making money off of this. Rejecting marriage for no reason. There's a sister. Every time somebody comes to her, she wants to get married. As soon as the husband, starts knocking at the door, the prospect, she says, no. Why? No. Beautiful, handsome, mashallah, look at him, hafid. No. Why? My heart doesn't, I don't. The same thing maybe for the husband or for the prospect, It happened so many times. There's one sister who she's been having this problem. She came to me, in Toronto. Every time, subhanAllah, this is what could happen. Even the husband, maybe the prospect would come, and then it would just collapse, or they will come by the door and then they will run away for some reason. Maybe that there's some witchcrafting been applied against that person, so that rejecting marriage. You just reject marriage for no reason. Could be. Don't you know of things like that in your maybe families, cultures, that some people have been rejecting marriage for no reason, on and off and on and off. It's not been happening, and they wonder why it's not happening. Or because they wanted you to marry their daughter, and because you did not marry their daughter, they go and they apply this sihr against you so that you don't marry nobody. I've seen it. Infertility. It could be. Not really certainly true, but it could be. It could be that someone who cannot have babies, and the doctors, they don't know. I mean, the person goes to the doctors, they go to the x-rays and tests. They're very fine. Nobody knows. It could be that there's some witchcrafting, applied against that person not to have babies, not to have children. Could be other kinds of witchcrafting as well. The cures. All right. The cures, number one, you need to remove all amulets. What we call the ta'weez from your home. All these amulets, prohibited things from your home. And they depend to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to be cured from this witchcrafting. Remove this ta'weez. Let me show you some ta'weez. Look at this. You see these signs? Can you read them? You cannot. Symbols, signs, given by so-called sahir, witchcrafters. Look at this. You know what this is? Look, Basamim. This is Bismillahi ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's written like that in upside down. Wal-iyadhu billah. So the guy gives it to you. Oh, it's just Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Huh? It's Ayat al-Kursi. Well, this is it has two sides. This one was given to a woman as a hadiyah, as a gift. It was given to a woman as Ayat al-Kursi. But she did not know that from the back it had Al-Fatiha Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim upside down. And I will tell you why the sahir, the witchcrafter, commits such a crime. It is a crime, a major sin. Look at this. Here's another ta'weez. You can't read these kind of things. What are these? Look at this one. Signs. Some people call it Damyati. What is Damyati? Is it? Damyati, the language of the Jinn. And in Maghrib it's known. Damyati. He says this man speaks Damyati. What is Damyati? He speaks the language of the Jinn. That could be that Damyati right there. Look at that sign. Look at those symbols. Allah Ta'ala. But these are the look, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Can you see it? It's like Bismillah. But underneath it, signs, symbols. What are those for? How about these amulets? Amulets, look what people say about amulets that have Qur'an in them. We can tell you about amulets that have Qur'an in them. Is it okay, Shaykh, to carry these things that have Qur'an in them? It's only Qur'an. There's nothing bad. It's just Qur'an. It's just Ayat al-Kursi. Or you put it in a ring, or a necklace that has Ayat al-Kursi in it, or some piece of these amulets that they give you it has a cover from leather. The cover is from leather, but underneath is a bunch of nothing that you can even read. It means to ward off evil. Ward off evil. Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Abbas, this is the view of Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Abbas, Hudayfa, Uqba ibn Amr, Ibrahim Nukh'i, Alqama, the major, these are the prominent Ahl al-Ilm, scholars and Sahaba and Tabi'een. They are of the view that even those that carry Qur'an should not be carried. Those ta'weeds that have only Qur'an. Because there are some others that not only have Qur'an, they have Qur'an, but you know what it's written with? It's written, wal-iyadu billah, with blood. Or it's even worse, written with menses blood. They write Qur'an with menses blood, and they give it to you. Wallahi, this was in the news. The man spoke and he said, my mother, she used to do this witchcraft. She was a witchcrafter, she used to practice witchcrafting. She died, and I went to her funeral, and we were trying to dig. Wallahi, we were trying to dig a grave to bury her. We could not bury my mother. The land is very fertile, soil, fertile. We could just go and dig. We couldn't. It becomes like a rock. So we moved to another place. We dig like a rock. We could not bury her. So we just put her down, and then we covered her with some, rocks, and then we left. And I was not supposed. He says I wasn't supposed to look back. I looked back. I saw a huge fire. The man, he came into news and TV. He's like half of his face was burnt. Subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala burned that woman, that witchcrafter. But then the man in the news, he told him, so what was your mother doing? He says, yes, she was a witchcrafter, but what was she doing? He says, she used to urinate on the Qur'an. Why? Because the sahir, the witchcrafter, for him to serve Oh, the Jinn, the Shaytan, the Jinn. For him to serve the witchcrafter, they have to write a contract. And in that contract, the witchcrafter has to commit some shirk. Has to commit something haram. Like urinating on the Qur'an, wal-'iyadhu billah. Or even worse, which I've seen. Worse than that. Just urinating on the Qur'an, this is easy. I mean, easy, astaghfirullah, but there's something that is worse that I've heard of. The Prophet ﷺ was also, there was some black magic that was applied against him ﷺ. This is in Bukhari, narrated by Aisha. Lubayd ibn al-Asam, that Jew who did some sihr, black magic against the Prophet ﷺ, so that the Prophet ﷺ he used to see things. He used to illusions. He used to have these illusions, seeing things. And then he is the Prophet ﷺ, and he got, subhanallah, he went through this hardship of being not possessed, but again having this witchcrafting being applied against him. So what happened was, this is in Fath al-Bari in Bukhari, that the Prophet ﷺ, Suhail ﷺ, uqida fi masht. So there was like his comb, there was some, they put some sihr in there, and then they threw it into this man threw it into this well. He threw it into this well. So the Prophet ﷺ, some angels, they came to him ﷺ, and then he was told that the sihr is in the well of Bi'r Dharwan, the Bi'r by the name of Dharwan. This is in Bukhari, the well called Dharwan. And then they went, he sent the Sahaba, he said, Ali, go and get that, that sihr from there. They went and they got the sihr, and then as the Prophet ﷺ, as they broke that sihr, and alhamdulillah, the Prophet ﷺ, felt well after that. So, this is something that can happen. You bring 7 green leaves from a lotus tree. This is called waraq al-sidr. Do you know waraq al-sidr? Sidr, the leaves of sidr. It's called sidr. You may find them in some bazaars, Arab bazaars or Indian bazaar. You call for waraq al-sidr, the green leaves of sidr. It's good if they're fresh. If they're not fresh, they could be dry. But then you ground them. Ground the leaves and put everything into a vessel, full of water. Put them in some container of water. When I used to do this on this person, having these green leaves, grounded it, and then put it on water, and then recite, this ayat, which I'm going to mention later on this water, and then have this person take a shower, take a bath from that water. Wallahi, before my eyes, the person is shaking. It's hot summertime, but I'm putting water on this person, and that person is shivering, like wintertime. The effect of Qur'an on sihr. Bring your mouth close to the water, and then you recite the following verses. So you recite Ayatul Kursi. You recite Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun. You recite Al-Ikhlas, Qul Wallahu Ahad, Qul A'udhu bi Rabbil Falaq, and Qul A'udhu bi Rabbin Nas. Surah Al-A'raf, 117 to 122. This is the cure from witchcrafting for separation. This is for separation. There's other generic witchcrafting, which we will talk about. But this is the witchcrafting that happens because of, let's say, a husband separating from his wife or the wife separating from the husband. Al-A'raf 117 to 122. وَإِذْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى أَنْ أَلْقِ عَصَاكَ. This is the story of Musa with the people who practice sihr. وَأُلْقِيَ السَّحَرَةُ سَاجِدِينَ قَالُوا آمَنَّا بِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ رَبِّ مُوسَى وَهَارُونَ. So from 117 to 122. Surah Yunus 81-82. قَالَ مُوسَى مَا جِئْتُمْ بِهِ. This is a very powerful surah on the jinn. On the jinn. All of these surahs are powerful. They talk about the jinn. This one is just when I've been doing it, the people are screaming. You're reading this on them. قال موسى ما جئتم به السحر إن الله سيبطله. Whatever you brought is sihr, is witchcraft. Allah سيبطله. Allah will ward it off. So when somebody comes to you normally, he says, Sheikh, please could you do ruqya on me? I think I'm possessed. They put their trust on you. This is miskin sheikh. They can't do nothing. The shifa is from Allah. So a good sheikh, a pious sheikh, he will try to connect you with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The shifa is from Allah, it's not from me. So you have to understand this. Allah is the one who's giving the shifa. This is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you have to show patience. You have to persevere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you. That's why He's testing you. So you basically give an advice, a lecture to that person and link them, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you start doing the ruqya on this person. So you say, this ayah says, قال موسى ما جئتم به السحر إن الله سيبطله. Musa says that whatever you have come forth with is nothing but sihr. Allah, He will ward it off. Which means it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is al-shafi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is al-afi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who gives the shifa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gives life and He gives death. Subhanahu. So we have to have this firm belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Surah Taha 69 to 70. وألق ما في يمينك تلقف ما صنعوا إنما صنعوا كيد ساحر ولا يفلح الساحر حيث أتى إنما صنعوا كيد ساحر ولا يفلح الساحر. Again, this ayah talks about sihr, the sahir, the witchcrafting and witchcrafters. ولا يفلح الساحر. The sahir will not be successful. He's going to be a loser. The sahir is a loser. The sahir will not be muflih. He will not be a winner. And then the patient should drink and wash from it for about 7 times. Shaykh bin Baz rahmatullah alayhi, he also commended this particular prescription. It's a prescription. It's only from the Qur'an. As you can see, it's just purely Qur'an, nothing. And waraq al-sidr is prescribed, it was done by the Prophet ﷺ, it was known. So, and then you do it from 7 days or until you feel better, until you feel that alhamdulillah this you've been cured. But at least 7 days. Symptoms of infertility caused by witchcrafting. What are some of the symptoms? Maybe the tightness of the chest. The tightness in the chest, especially after Asr, which sometimes can last late into the evening. Every day after Asr, subhanallah, this person has this tightness in the chest. For no reason. That person does not know why, but the chest becomes so tight, especially normally after Asr. It could be a symptom. Constant pain in the lower back. This is especially for the sisters again. Constant pain in the back, the lower back. Why it's having back? They go to doctors, they do some analysis and whatnot. The doctor don't know what's wrong. They cannot come up with a cure. Constant pain in the lower back. Insomnia, lack of sleep. Frequent nightmares. Talked about that. What are the signs of a witchcrafter? How do I know that this is a witchcrafter from somebody who performs ruqya in accordance to the Kitab al-Sunnah? How do I know that this is sahir and kadhab, and this person is somebody who does it, alhamdulillah, through as per the Qur'an and the Sunnah? The signs of a sahir. If the sahir says, what's your mother's name? Your father's name? What's that person's name? He asks for their name. Are you with me? He asks for the name. He's a sahir. He's a kadhab. He's a witchcrafter. Why would you need the name? Why would you need the name of my father or my mother? They use Jinn to do this. Or he asks for someone's garments. Oh, you want that person for that person? Okay, bring me his shirt. Bring me his shoes. Bring me his whatever, his tie. Anything that smells the smell of that person. He will ask for somebody's garment. He may ask for an animal. Bring me... Yeah, it's true, Allah. He will ask for an animal. Why? Because he wants to ask you to bring something that you cannot. Well, he's asking it because he wants money. These things, they don't do it for free. They want money. So he says, bring me an orphan mouse. Yeah, for the yatim. What am I going to get you this orphan mouse? I know. He says, I know. I can get it for you. Or get me, he says, a blind monkey. Wallah. A blind monkey. Monkey, I can get you a monkey, but a blind, how do I know where to get the blind monkey, but it's going to cost you $2,000. But I know where it is. He has everything, this guy, Sahir. He's got the blind monkey, the orphan mouse, he's got the dik aswad. He says dik aswad. A black rooster. Okay, where are you going to get black rooster now? Do you have anyone in India, Pakistan? I don't know, in Maghreb we don't have. But this guy says, I know, I have it. Aywa, black rooster, I can get it for you. But it's a little expensive because they're very, very, they're seldom. You cannot find them. I have to travel all the way to, it's going to cost $5,000. Black rooster. Sahir. He's a sahir. He's a kadhab. These are some of the signs of a witchcrafter. Asking for the sacrifice to be thrown in filthy places. He says, go and put a sacrifice. Let's say bring a goat or a lamb. Make a sacrifice and throw that goat into a dump yard. Kufr. Wal'iyadhu billah. Or bring a sacrifice and throw it in the toilet, where where all the filthy stuff are. To be thrown in filthy places. Writing in readable talismans, the one that I showed you earlier, like signs and symbols, or having Quranic verses written upside down. Why? Remember, he's got to make that person commit some kufr for them to serve you. But I got a question when I was in the UK when I did this. He said, the man came to me, he says, then Sheikh, is it okay to seek assistance from pious jinn, Muslim jinn? He says, why? He says, well, I know, and wallahi true. He came to me and says, listen, Sheikh, this is what happened. This is in Bradford. I know that my wife's been trying to perform black magic on me. And I have a friend who's a sheikh who deals with this, who has this assistant, a Muslim jinn. And this Muslim jinn, he tells him about stuff. So it is that Muslim jinn who came to tell my friend, who told me that your wife is planning tonight to perform, to do some black magic. She wants something from you that she's going to take to her magician, to her witchcrafter. Don't spend the night with her that night, he said. And then he said, I went home and my wife, she just didn't want to leave me alone. I told her, I'm going to sleep here, I'm tired. She says, no, you have to come, we have to. And she said she did not want to leave me for some reason. Then he came to me and said, Sheikh, he said, Wallahi, it was true. So is it okay to seek assistance from this, We don't know of anything like that from the pious Salaf, from the Ahl al-Ilm, from the pious predecessors, from Sahaba and Tabi'een, that used to get, assistance from jinn, or Muslim jinn, or Mu'min jinn. If you seek assistance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you make dua to whom? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now. So let's say the cure from witchcrafting, the infertility. Record this ruqya, which I'm going to tell you, record this ruqya on a tape. And then listen to it 3 times a day. And I will mention the ruqya in the next slide, inshaAllah ta'ala. Read or listen to Surah As-Saffat every morning. As-Saffat, it's also a very tough surah on the jinn. Surah As-Saffat. Read or listen to Surah Al-Ma'arij before going to bed at night. Read the following verses on some black seed oil. Black seed oil. Beautiful oil, black seed oil, and apply on the chest. Zayt al-zaytun, you can have zayt al-zaytun, black olive, or black seed oil. The Prophet has spoken about the black seed oil, you can find them. But be careful, there are people selling, what they call black seed oil, but it's not black seed, it's fake. Be careful when you buy black seed oil, buy genuine black seed oil. There are people out there making money. Yeah, Muslims, unfortunately, and selling you something called black seed oil, but it's not black seed oil. So you can read these verses, which I'll talk about, on this black seed oil, and then apply on the chest. Recite Al-Fatiha, Ayatul Kursi, the last verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, starting from Lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ard until the end. Last verses of Al-Imran, starting from La yaghurrannaka taqallabu alladhina kafaru fil bilad. the last verses of Al-Imran, these are all the Qur'an is good, my brothers and sisters. Anything from the Qur'an, alhamdulillah, is good, as long as you recite the Qur'an. But there are, again, like I said, certain verses that have more effect on the jinn than others. The verses that talk about the shaitan, the jinn, and these are the verses. Al-Mu'awwidat, the three quls, right? The three quls, which are قل هو الله أحد, قل أعوذ برب الفلق, and قل أعوذ برب الناس. Right. So read the same verses mentioned above on the same pure honey. You can bring honey. So again, honey, black seed oil, and in what tablespoon a day before breakfast? 1 tablespoon a day before breakfast of that honey that you have recited these verses on. And repeat the entire process for a few months until you feel, that you've been cured, insha'Allah ta'ala. This is the prescription. Repeat the entire process for a few months. So put your right hand on the forehead on the patient. Now this is generic witchcrafting, but again, remember earlier when I said read these verses, this is the verses that you should read. This is for generic type of witchcrafting. Put the right hand on the forehead of the patient, like I showed you earlier. And if it's good if you can come very close to the right ear and then recite Al-Qur'an. Recite the following Ruqya verses. Recite Al-Fatiha. The 4 first verses of Al-Baqarah. Ayatul Kursi. The end of Surah Al-Baqarah. From Lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fi al-ard. Al-Imran 18 to 19. شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط until وما يكفر بآيات الله فإن الله سريع الحساب. المؤمنون العمران النساء 110 to 121 وما يعدهم الشيطان إلا غرورا وما يعدهم الشيطان shaitan threatens them. So this is again, it's all again about shaitan. These are some of the ayat that are powerful on the shaitan. Al-Imran, Al-Nisa, Al-A'raf 54 to 55. But again, it's 117 to 122. I'm sorry, it's a little mistake there. Al-A'raf 117 to 122. Taha 69 to 70. Taha 69 to 70, the same one that I mentioned earlier. Al-A'raf is, instead of 54 to 55, is 117 to 122. But Musa and the Suhar, the witchcrafters. Al-Mu'minun 115 to 118. أفحسبتم أنما خلقناكم عبثا وأنكم إلينا لا ترجعون. Do you think that you have been created in vain and that you shall not come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is the surah. Yasin from 1 to 12. Yasin. As-Saffat 1 to 10. Surah Ghafir 1 to 3. حاميم تنزيل الكتاب من الله العزيز الحكيم العليم. الرحمن 1 to 16. Al-Hashr 21 to 24. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. الحديد 1 to 6. سبح لله ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الجن 1 to 9. قل أوحي إلي أنه استمع نفر من الجن. This is the surah that talks about the jinn. And then surah الزلزلة إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها. القارعة ما القارعة. الهمزة ويل لكل همزة لمزة. الفيل. قريش. قل يا أيها الكافرون. الناس. النصر is الناس. المسد. الإخلاص. So المسد is تبت يد أبي لهب. And then الإخلاص قل هو الله أحد قل أعوذ برب الفلق قل أعوذ برب الناس. So these are the ayat that you should recite inshallah ta'ala. Okay. How to safeguard yourselves? You want some time? Sheikh, you want some time? Go ahead. You done? Oh, you're done. Okay, good. How to safeguard yourselves, my brothers and sisters? Again, remember that this is a lecture that I have done in 5 different series, 5 series of lectures. So I just condensed it here to just try to cover it in the next, maybe I have 15 more minutes left to go. Safeguarding is really one of the most important things here. How to safeguard yourself from, the jinn? Remember what I said earlier. Jinn, the creation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are afraid of, from humans. Nothing can happen to you without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody can harm you without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fire cannot burn you without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, without the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fire is nothing but a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It cannot burn. It will burn with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A knife cannot kill. It kills with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So nothing can happen without the will. To the extent that a leaf can fall from the tree, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how many turns that leaf will turn in the air before it reaches the ground. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the order to that leaf how many turns it should turn and where it should fall. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the order to the rains, how many raindrops and where to drop, and when the rain should drop and when it shouldn't drop. Everything happens. Not even a single atom does not move without the will and permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means nothing can happen without the permission of Allah. So put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing can scare you or frighten you. Some people say, I have to drive back home by myself. Anyway, you will drive home by yourself. And you are in dhikr. You are in a garden of Jannah. Who can terrorize you? Allah is with you. The angels are with you. You are in constant members of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing can harm you if Allah does not want to harm you. Yes, they tried to scare me. Let me tell you this. When alhamdulillah I was back home and I was doing my qiyam al-layl, and then I heard, I have to say this, I'm sorry, but what was that? They tried to scare you. And I told my friends, they were sleeping, some of them were sleeping with me. I said, did you guys hear this noise? They said, no, we didn't hear anything, Sheikh. I wasn't Sheikh at that time. No, we didn't hear anything. I said, okay, I know who that is. I know who it was. The next day, did Qiyam al-Layl. I said, Allah, you can, keep on doing until next day. I will not move. Even though your sujood says, you can keep on laughing, you can keep on doing. They will try to scare you, but you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing can happen without His will and without His permission. Ibrahim a.s. was thrown into the fire. Did anything happen to him? La. Why? Ya naru kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. Oh fire, be cool and peace on Ibrahim. The fire burns, but it didn't burn. Why? Because the fire is creation of Allah. Khalid bin Waleed, he understood this. When he caught who? Musaylim al-Kadhab. And when he says he had this poison. What is poison for? Because if I was caught, I will eat it. He said, oh, this poison kills, you think? You think this poison kills? Bismillah. And he ate. Khalid bin Waleed. Do you think it kills? I'm not telling you to do that. You have to have very, very strong iman for this to happen. So yes, drive home by yourself and alhamdulillah, you're cool, you're fine. You are in constant members of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you wake up, you have dhikr. You always, a'udhu billah min shaitanir bismillahir rahmanir rahim, and then you Qur'an. Nothing scares you. In fact, remember this, the jinn, they are scared of you. But because of the myth that people are, come up with, this is why we become, somewhat frightened of this world of jinn, devils, the jinn. La. The only thing I'm afraid of is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be His partner. Safeguard. 7 ajwa dates. This is in Bukhari. The ajwa dates. The ajwa dates, they're a little expensive, but they are good. These are the dates. Right? Can any dates do? Yes, any dates can do. But ajwa dates are good. Every morning, 7 ajwa dates before breakfast. The Prophet says, whosoever eats 7 ajwa dates every morning before breakfast, before you eat anything, no shaitan can harm you. In fact, my brothers and sisters, dates should not leave your home. You always have to have dates. I don't have business selling dates, believe me. But dates should always be you always have to have some dates in your home. Have 7 ajwa dates every morning before breakfast. This is in Bukhari. Safeguard. Remain in the state of wudu as much as possible. They cannot harm you. State of wudu. Adhere to the congregational prayers, salah, al-jama'ah. They cannot harm you. You're always in salah al-jama'ah. You don't miss salah al-jama'ah. Safeguard you. Qiyam al-layl, not prayer. Allahu Akbar. The night prayer. How can they harm somebody who try to come and scare somebody who wakes up in prayer Qiyam al-Layl and cry before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Safeguarding, Qiyam al-Layl. I'm going quickly through them because normally each one I spend a lot of time, but here I'm just giving you these bullets. Seek refuge in Allah when entering the washroom. Remember what you say. What do you say when you enter the washroom, Bita? What do you say? Allahumma inni a'udhu bika mina khubti wala khaba'ithi. Cool. So, and some people they say, oh Sheikh, do I have to cover my head when I enter the washroom? I said, okay, give me the evidence, Sheikh. Give me the evidence that you have to have some kufi when enter the washroom. He says, yes, because this hadith, I don't know where he got this hadith from, that the shaitan will urinate on your head. I said, so make sure you don't do this when you go into the washroom. What is this? There is no hadith that says that. There is no hadith that says that the shaitan will urinate on your head, when you go to the washroom. So make sure you put a kufi when you go to the washroom. Some people they put it as it's a tartib. I have to. I cannot go to the washroom. Where is my kufi? Allah. Astaghfirullah. Because I've seen it, that's why I'm laughing. Seek refuge in Allah Azza wa Jalla when entering the washroom. Okay. Reciting the Prophet's dua when getting married. Remember the dua when getting married. Oh, it's too late for you? No, it's not too late. Go back to your wife and do it tonight. Allahumma inni as'aluka خيرها وخير ما جبلت عليه وأعوذ بك من شرها وشر ما جبلت عليه. This is in Abu Dawood, Sahih Abu Dawood. Shaykh Al-Albani said the hadith is Sahih. That you ask Allah Azza wa Jal for her good and you seek Allah Azza wa Jal from her evil. So, and then you put your hand on her. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is the other dua. The dua when for intercourse. Allahumma jannibna ash-shaytan wa jannib ash-shaytan also ma razaqtana. Oh Allah, jannibna ash-shaytan wa jannib ash-shaytan ma razaqtana. You seek Allah's help, and refuge from the shaitan. All right. Perform tulak'a with your spouse after the marriage contract. In fact, this is what I wanted to initiate when I was back in Toronto, and I'm going to go back inshallah ta'ala and try to initiate it. For any prospects who want to get married, they have to come and take my course on not only the huquq, talking about marriage and how to improve this relationship between spouses, and talking about the rights of the husband, the rights of the wives. And it's not only about the rights, because you cannot be so rigid about the rights. Just explaining the marriage and the essence of marriage. Because I'm a marriage officer. So before you go and perform that marriage, or before I do my nikah, you have to come and take my course. If you pass, you get married. If you don't pass, wallah, they do this. In fact, they do it in Malaysia, they do it in Indonesia, there's in Yemen. There are certain courses that you have to. Remember when I said this during the Heart Serene, for the one when I was in San Francisco, a kid who got married, he was only 14 years old, 15 years old. His wife, she was 13. And when they went in, they didn't know what, they were miskin, they didn't know what was happening. And they started, they looked at each other and they started crying. What should we do? I don't know what should we do. They couldn't even hug each other. They said, okay, salam alaikum salam. They cried. Baba, I want mama, I want baba. It was because their parents, they made them get married, and then they got married. They did not teach them the etiquettes of marriage. The sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. They were not taught. And we need to open up with our kids. Some people say, Sheikh, what are you talking about? This is masjid weird. This is la haya fi din. I'm not talking about anything from the Qur'an. It's all Qur'an and Sunnah. So we need to open up and teach our kids, teach our youngsters. That's why we wanted to have these courses, which I told you it's been taught in so many other countries. And people, wallahi, I performed this nikah. And something inside of me said that this man is not really ready. A month later, he came back and says, Sheikh, I want divorce. He says, I did the wrong thing. He says, why? Why? I wasn't ready. I did not know what marriage is all about. And I felt like I wanted to just choke him. So now what you did, you committed this crime against this sister. What's her crime, miskina? Huh? What did she do? Huh? You're just going to throw it like that and that's it, I want divorce? Because, and that's why I said this course is extremely important. So I tell the imams here and the shuyukh, try to have something as such in your communities. Perform talaqah with the spouse after the marriage contract. Safeguard. Recite the dua before intimacy. This is in Bukhari and Muslim. We talked about the dua. Bismillah Allahumma jibna shaitan wa jibna shaitan ma razaqtana. Reciting Ayatul Kursi before going to sleep. Remember what I said earlier about Ayatul Kursi. The shaitan will not harm you that day or that night. If you recite Salatul Kursi, especially when you're in wudu and you recite Ayatul Kursi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send an angel to guard you the whole night. Why? Just because you recited Ayatul Kursi before you go to sleep. This is in Bukhari. And remember the story that I mentioned about the shaitan, that guy, the jinn, who says, yes, I went to harm you, but there was an angel guarding you, so I couldn't harm you. And in fact, that man who was on TV earlier, the video, before what happened to him, his wife was home. And then she saw someone came into her. Wallah, he said, somebody came to his wife, he's telling the story of his wife. Because he stopped doing ruqya for some time and then he went back doing it. He stopped doing ruqya. Why? Because he said his wife, my wife told, she says somebody was, there's some woman who came, I don't know where she came from, the door, I don't know, the door, my door was locked, but she came in, she opened, she came in, and then she said, tell your husband to leave us alone. Or we will harm him. And then she left. She left. She told her husband, stop doing what he was doing, he's saying. But then he went back and says, who's giving? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who harms, he's the one who benefits, he's the one who... And then he went back doing it. See, come. Show it to him, come. You want to? Come. But what happened was, he and his family used the safeguarding prescription. And not only for him and his wife and his family. The safeguarding, which is, the ad'iyah, the sunan, the adhkar. In San Francisco, when I was there, this man who was a driver cab, he came to me, a bunch of us. Wallahi, before his eyes, he would put his jacket and then subhanallah, before everybody's eyes, the jacket will go into pieces. There was some witchcrafting, some jinn inside his home. And he says, and this jinni was smart. And me and my friend were driving, and at that time there was no cell phones, only pagers. Cell phone was this huge cell phone that just came out. Huge one. But there were pagers. As we approach his apartment, we will hear the pager ringing. Beep, 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 beep. And then we take the pager and we stop, we call. Nobody. It's just like it's a fax machine. Beep, beep. And they say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha. And then I start reciting saying the adhan. And then you hang up. And then there's nothing. Happened so many times. So this jinn, what he used to do, he used to lit fire into his home. So yeah, he would just be sitting, and then all of a sudden he sees fire, somewhere. Then he would go and put it out. He would go, subhanAllah. He would told me, Allah, Shaykh Riad, this is what I did. I used to do this in the Qur'an. I would put the tape, and all of a sudden I would come and see the plug out. There's no, I would go put the plug back again, and then I would listen to the Qur'an. And all of a sudden, I don't know who puts the Qur'an on. And then we will come and recite the Qur'an in his home. And they start and make the adhan. And wallahi, we could see the window, something opening and people, something leaving this house. But it kept coming back. And then what happened was the man, said, okay, why don't you move out from this house? He moved out. The fire in downtown San Francisco. What happened to that apartment? It was put into fire. Why? What happened? Nobody could happen. They came, what do you call them? Those fire. They came, they put out the fire, they did their investigation, they did not know who caused the fire. Allah Ta'ala. But you need to know how to safeguard yourself. Safeguarding again. Reciting in the morning and evening dua. Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'a ismihi shay' fil ardi wa la fis sama'i wa as-sami'ul alim. This is in Tirmidhi 3 times. After you pray Salatul Fajr. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. Again, you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refuge from the shaitan and asking Allah azza wa jal for protection. Reciting the dua after leaving your home. بسم الله توكلت على الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. This is in Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi. This hadith is sahih that the Prophet says, whosoever says his dua 3 times after leaving his home, he cannot be harmed by shaitan. or the jinn. No jinn or shaitan can harm you that day. Reciting this dua. Reciting this morning and evening dua. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. This is in Sahih Muslim. Before I tell you the cure from evil eye, I want to give you a golden piece of advice. Come, Bita. Come. Yes. Come. Safeguard your children. Use the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ used to go to Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein for them, before going to sleep, or in the morning or at night, against the evil eye, against the jinn. You never know, so the Prophet ﷺ used to say this dua. أعيدكما بكلمات الله التامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة. أعيدكما بكلمات الله التامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة. If we have a board, we could write this thing down. If you don't speak Arabic, memorize it. It's in Surah. Thank you. It's in Hisn Muslim as well. That you're seeking, that the Prophet ﷺ used to say this dua, which is in Bukhari and Muslim, seeking the refuge of Allah Azza wa Jal from every devil, from a poisonous animal, and from any envious eye. From any envious eye. From every devil, from every poisonous animal, and from me every envious eye. أعيدكما بكلمات الله التامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين, which is eye, لامة. Since we're talking about the evil eye, what's the evil eye? Right? The Prophet ﷺ in Bukhari used to say, Al-Ainu Haqq. Al-Ainu Haqq, the evil eye is truth. You can hit somebody by the evil eye. Some people, say, well, is that true? Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. The evil eye, you can hit someone by the evil eye. Even to the extent, my brothers and sisters, you can hit your own self with the evil eye. You can hit your own baby with the evil eye. You look at your baby, say, "Oh, you're beautiful. Look at those eyes. Look at those nose. Look at that. Oh," and you don't say, "MashaAllah." You can cause and hit him with the evil eye. Or you look at yourself in the mirror. "Oh, you devil, you look so good. Oh, look at you, man. Look at your muscles. Oh, man, you're the man." And you don't say, "MashaAllah." You can hit yourself with the evil eye. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You can hit yourself with the evil eye. So Bismillah, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah. When you see something that you like, the Prophet says, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah. All right? So for the what's happening, I feel like, let's say if you know that you're being hit by the evil eye, how do we know? The people with experience in Ahl al-Ilm, they said, do you know, does anybody here when they recite the Qur'an, they cannot stop yawning? Anybody? When they recite the Qur'an, they keep on, and they keep on yawning. They cannot beat it, they cannot control it. Anyone? It's all right if you have that, because that's one of the signs of the evil eye. You could be hidden by the evil eye. So what happened was in this the story which is reported in Ibn Majah and Nasa'i, Imam Ahmad, the story of Ibn Rabi'a and Sahel ibn Hunayf, when this Sahabi was taking a bath, and he has very light skin. Sahel ibn Hunayf and Amr ibn Rabi'a. So and then he told him, "Oh, what a beautiful skin you have." And subhanallah, that man fell on the spot. He fell on the spot. They could not know what was wrong with him. They came and they told the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet said, "Who said so? Who said what?" And then he said, "Ya Rasulullah, Suhail, Sa'd ibn Hunayf." So what happened was he asked him to take a bath. So you go into this, let's say, container or a vessel. You go, put yourself in there, and then bring some water, and then take, a bath from that water. From a water. And then what happened? The Prophet says, take that water and give it to the patient, the person who's been hit with the evil eye, and then let him take a bath with that water. with that water. And this is again, like it's a very sound, authentic hadith. From a vision, putting that water on the second, then putting your hand on that second person's forehead and then recite. You can do that as well. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس اشفي أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء لا يغادر سقما. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس اشفي أنت الشافي from شفاء. اشفي أنت الشافي. أنت الشافي. You are the one who gives شفاء. لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك. When you look at the and I talk sometimes to my Advil or to my Tylenol, and my wife laughs at me. I look at my Tylenol and say, Ya ayyuha Tylenol, you are nothing but a Tylenol. You don't give shifa. It is Allah who gives shifa. Right? It is not you. But the Prophet says to use the means, and I'm using you as the means. Bismillah. It is not because you don't put your trust in the Tylenol or the aspirin. You put your trust in the Rabb of the Tylenol, in the Rabb of the aspirin. لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك. No shifa except your shifa Allah. The doctor miskin here, he's a doctor, يعني he went to school for years, but you think he can give you shifa? He cannot give shifa to himself. Yeah, he can't. He can't give shifa. It is Allah, but he is a means. And we need to use him as the means. But I don't put my trust in him. I put my trust in Allah, the Lord of the means. لا شفاء إلا شفاء. This is in Bukhari. Cure from the evil eye. More. Putting your hand on the second person, painful area, and recite the three quls. قل هو الله أحد قل أعوذ برب الفلق قل أعوذ برب الناس. This is in Bukhari. If you've been hit with the evil eye. قل هو الله أحد. This is your weapon. قل هو الله أحد قل أعوذ برب الفلق قل أعوذ برب الناس. Always, constantly, in the morning, 3 times before after Salat al-Fajr, you recite them, and then in the afternoon. Putting your hand on the second person's forehead and say, Bismillah yubrik min kulli da'in yashfik. يا من شاري من شر حاسد إذا حسد من شر حاسد إذا حسد. So this is about the hasad. The hasad is envy. How does the evil eye happens? It could be, it's normally it's from envy. You don't say MashaAllah. You see something and then that you like, but you don't say MashaAllah. Oh, Subhanallah. So you hit that person with the evil eye. That's called hasad, envy. All right. So that's the end of this. Maybe I went pretty fast on it. I want to show the video. Yes, let's show that video. Another video. This is only just some Talismans, some ta'weez, some of those ta'weez. Look at this. All right. This is one of the things that was brought. Look. There's no audio in this. There's no audio. Right. Look at some of things you can read, others you cannot. But let me show you something really, he's going to show something here incredible. Look here. Pause that. You see here? It's like a picture of a girl. It is actually a witchcraft, a black magic being applied against the girl so that she doesn't marry anyone. The sister called me. She said, Sheikh, I think, I hear voices. I said, okay. Tell me, what kind of voices? We hear voices, I don't know, voices, okay? Tell me about your home. Yeah, my home, what's wrong with my home? I said, do you have pictures in your home? She said, yes. But, music and TV, yes, music, it's okay. Sheikh, we have fatwa, music is okay, okay. Sister, you guys pray at home, do you pray? Yeah, my father does, she said, my father. And I said, okay, sister, you put hijab, hello. I said, hijab. I said, sister, you don't have jinn in your home. You have qabila jinn in your home. The entire qabila of jinn is in your home. There is nothing in that home that reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, keep on moving. And then you come and you say, I hear sounds. You will hear sounds. Look at this. أعوذ بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. إن الله رجل. Yes. So I know this is there'll be some questions and answers. I will try to cover as many as I can. خلاص inshallah, you can stop it. This is the end. Yeah. So we'll maybe go through some questions and answers and try to cover them. Bismillah. Yeah, let's go with the online ones.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala. A number of questions have been coming in about medical conditions, grinding the teeth, sleep paralysis. So how do you differentiate between medical problems and signs of jinn possession?
Jazakallah khair. How can you differentiate? You need to seek the experts. You need to seek a doctor. Don't just go to, well, let me tell you this before you leave. Let me tell you this. Okay, some of you, here, listen to this. This is true. It's a little funny, but it's true. We have a problem. Some Muslims have problem. Anytime they feel something or hear something, they think, oh, my son is possessed, or I'm possessed, or I think I have jinn. The wife has been having some problems, and the husband think it's from the jinn. So he kept on taking her to some shuyukh who do the ruqya. And there are some shuyukh who don't know, they bring some sticks and they start beating, and they say, I don't beat her or him, I beat the jinn inside of her. So she doesn't feel it. It's really the jinn who feels it. And then they bring this huge, humongous stick, and then they start, and Miskina, she'd been taking lots of beating in her back. They broke her ribs. And in the end, they found out that it is not from the jinn, it is a medical problem. Until she got all the beating, and then if there's some sheikh who can start to do some ruqya on you, and then you have this big stick, and they says, no, I'm not going to beat you, I'm just going to beat the shaytan or the jinn. Say, beat ya akhi, your own jinn, don't beat my jinn. So this side the Qur'an, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, but beating and stuff is really something that. So here, yes, seek the experts, seek doctors. And go to an expert to basically go to some analysis, and so that whether they can tell that whether it's a medical issue or not. If the doctors, they come at the end and they say, well, I mean, we've done so many tests and diagnoses and whatnot, and we couldn't find anything really wrong. So we're really like what we call it, Sheikh, doctor, the situation where no doctors know, idiopathic. Which means it is a disease that we don't know what it is. So a doctor cannot tell you, I don't know. He just tells you, yes, I know what you have. You have idiopathic. What's idiopathic? I don't know. I had this problem in Quebec City. Subhanallah wa ta'ala afflicted me with this disease. I couldn't walk. So I went to they took me to the hospital, and subhanallah, I will never forget that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you with a body, but you don't know the value of your sahha, of your health, until Allah afflicts you with some disease. Wallahi alladhi la ilaha illahu, I could not go to the washroom, and the washroom this is my bed, and that's the restroom right there. I couldn't go. They had to carry me. I started crying, says, Ya Allah, even the washroom I couldn't go. And then when I spoke to the doctors, 3 days in this hospital, doctor after doctor, sign after test, they bunch of tests. What do I have? Viral infection. What is it? Viral. They did not know what it was. Viral infection. Nobody knows. So you go to and seek the experts. If they say, we really don't know, it could be one of the signs. Then you can couple that with definitely with Qur'an and these and the prescription that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. Now, from the house, from the masjid. Ask the brothers here. I don't know. Which means no. Testing for witchcrafting. Do we say Bismillah before each verse? No. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. You don't have to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You don't have to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now, please repeat number of verses. Surah Al-Mu'minun. Surah Al-Mu'minun. It's Al-Mu'minun 115 to 118. 115 to 118. Surah Al-Mu'minun. Please also repeat, what is this? Cure of general witchcrafting. I think we need to share the PowerPoint with brothers and sisters. So, okay, then the brothers, inshallah ta'ala, they will take care of it. Nah, go ahead, akhi. Brother. The PowerPoint, inshallah, the brothers. Yes, doctor. No, Jazakallah khair, very good question. Do I have to recite from the Mus'haf or do I need to memorize those ayat? If you memorize those ayat, it's good. If you don't memorize those ayat, like you can bring the Mus'haf and then come and read, very close to the ear to the person, and then bring the Mus'haf and then recite. Can I do ruqya on myself or do I need a shaykh to perform ruqya on me? You can do ruqya on yourself. I know people who've been doing ruqya on themselves, and alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them shifa. Can shifa happen on the spot? Shifa can happen on the spot. I know people who've been going through the ruqya for years. Wallahi, years. So it could happen that it could be, you could face. It is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remember. It is a ibtila from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yeah, you could recite from the Qur'an. Na'am. Go ahead.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah. For women that are menstruating, about reading the adhkar to protect themselves, they can't touch the Mus'haf, how do they do this?
Jazakallah khair. Very good question about the sisters who are going to the menses. Can they read the Qur'an or can they do the dhikr? Dhikr, there is no discrepancy about dhikr. All the madhahib, alhamdulillah, ulama, you can make dhikr as much as you can. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu akbar, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. With your menses, non-menses, you can do dhikr. With the Qur'an, here's where the discrepancy happens. But as per Ahl al-Ilm, alhamdulillah, this is in the Shaykh al-Mashayikh and Ahl al-Ilm, like in Ibn Taymiyyah has made the fatwa about this, Shaykh bin Baz, and Al-Albani, rahmatullah alayh. It's all very sound that she can recite the Qur'an, but not from the Mus'haf. You see, this is a Mus'haf. A woman going through her menses, she should not read from the Mus'haf. But she can recite the Qur'an off of her memory, or she can bring a Qur'an that is not pure Mus'haf. Let's say a Qur'an that has Qur'an and translation. It is not pure Mus'haf. She can read from it. A Qur'an that has tafsir. It is not pure Qur'an. She can read from it. She cannot read from a Qur'an that is pure Qur'an. Like a Mus'haf, she's not supposed to touch a Mus'haf. Other than that, she can, alhamdulillah, read the Qur'an, do the adhkar, as I have explained. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Na'am. Yes, akhi. $70 what? I'm sorry. 17,000. In what hadith is this, akhi? No, I haven't. No, I don't think this hadith. 70,000. Those who know. There's no. That hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim. Are you taking Heart Serene? No, you're not taking Heart Serene. Okay, well, next. Because I will talk about this during the Heart Serene. Yeah, na'am. I will talk about the 70,000 who will be actually. Jazakallah khair for bringing that up. Who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make enter the Jannah with no hisab, with no reckoning. There'll be 70,000 people who will enter the Jannah with no accountability, with no hisab. One of them is ladina la yastarqun. What is la yastarqun? Those who do not seek ruqya, which means Ahl al-Ilm, they have explained. The Prophet ﷺ has sought ruqya. The Sahaba, like the Sahaba, when they went into this, they were traveling and they were hungry. They didn't have enough food. They met these people who they asked them for food, and that tribe didn't want to give them food. And then, subhanallah, there was one man, one of the leaders, who basically fell sick. And then this Sahabi came and he recited al-Fatiha on him. He did ruqya on him. And then they said, well, okay, we'll do ruqya, but you have to feed us. We'll do ruqya on you. And then they came and they told the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet, he acknowledged what they did. And they said, did you bring me my share of that lamb, of that goat? Did you bring me my share? To acknowledge and to prove that, listen, this is good. This is okay. What you did is good. So, but here, Ahl al-Ilm, they have explained, those who do not seek ruqya, يعني, I don't tell you to give me ruqya, but I wish you could come and do it without me telling you. They have reached that level. I want ruqya, but I'm not going to tell you, you please come and do ruqya for me without me telling you. This is what this hadith means about those. But this does not contradict the fact that you have to use the means by going to a doctor and seeking ruqya. This does not contradict this hadith. Jazakallah khair. Naam. Question? Naam, akhi. In the back. We can give question for another 10 minutes. 10:30 we'll wrap it up, inshallah. Naam. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yeah. Is it valuable to evaluate your nafs in that month because the shayateen are locked? Na'am, the shayateen are locked, but not all the shayateen. In Ramadan, not all the shayateen are locked. Like there's your qarin who lives with you. The qarin always there. so people should not go or be mistaken that, that the shayateen, all of them are locked. There are certain shayateen that are not locked, like the qareen. So yes, definitely evaluate yourself. Why? Because you're in Ramadan, the people, subhanAllah, the ibadah becomes a little easier. It becomes easier on you to do more ibadah. So if you see yourself, and this is as per Ahl al-Ilm, if you see yourself, amongst those after Ramadan, before Ramadan, you've been doing lots of qiyam and siyam, and siyam and reciting Qur'an and praying, on time in the masjid. And if you see yourself, why? Because in Ramadan, again, like I said, the ibadah is, becomes a little easier. But if you see yourself at the same time after Ramadan being continuously doing what you've been doing in Ramadan, that's a good sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted your siyam. Why? Because the best deeds in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those deeds that are continuous, even if they are trivial. They could be trivial deed, but if they are continuous, those are the best deeds in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me say something really important. Not every jinni is shaytan, but every shaytan is jinni. What does that mean? Yeah. Not every jinni is shaytan. Why? Because shaytan can be a Muslim and non-Muslim. Jinn. Did I say shaytan? No, it's jinn. The jinn can be a Muslim and non-Muslim. So the Muslim jinn is not shaytan. But the shaytan is jinn. You understand? All right. Na'am akhi.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah. A few things. The sisters can bring their questions over to the left side door to give to the brothers. The brothers will be there to collect it. Also, the PowerPoint will be available later on the website jinns.durba.org, which is the website for the live broadcast. And we'll be notifying everyone, inshallah. Please check later tonight, and it should be up. And also the recording of this, video recording of this entire lecture. The question is, if someone is possessed by jinn, and because of this they're depressed or always alone, they don't like to pray, will they be held accountable for that?
نعم بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله جزاك الله خير. Would they be accountable? كل نفس بما كسبت رهينة. I cannot blame the jinn for my actions. It is the jinni. I didn't. Oh, you kill someone and then you blame me. It's not me. It's the jinni who's inside of me who told me to kill. No, you are accountable. You are responsible. And remember, like what I said earlier, it is it is a trial from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. It's a test from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And you know the cure. You know the cure. You have to try to perform the cure. Naam. You have to try to do your best and utmost best to make sure that you basically cure yourself from this witchcrafting. But naam, you'll be definitely responsible. You have to make an effort. If the nafs comes and says no, you don't feel like praying, you have to make an effort to go and pray. And this is exactly. Listen to this. This is what will defeat your shaitan. This is what will defeat the jinn inside of you. And I've seen it with my own eyes. When the people doing the ruqya, and then the shaitan the jinn becomes so weak, then it leaves. Why? Because that person has been, subhanallah, making an effort to recite the Qur'an, making an effort to pray. It's so hard, and the more effort you make to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the weaker the jinn becomes. But the less effort, the stronger he becomes, and it becomes very difficult for him to leave. Him or her, the jinniya, or the family. I've seen in some people there's not only one person, one jinni or two, it's the entire family getting into this jinni wal-iyadhu billah, into this person. So, yes, you will be responsible. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Na'am akhi? Na'am. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. نعم أخي بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. كان مسلم جن possess a Muslim woman or نعم it can, and we have the evidence. In fact this, when we said to this person, Muslim, why did you do this? I'm trying to help her to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm reminding her to pray and to do this. So she does not need you to remind her. Please come out. No, yeah, you're doing something haram. And then you recite the Qur'an and you see them crying. It's not the person inside of you, in the person who's crying. She says, because the person came out later on and she says, well, it's not me. I couldn't help but crying, but it's what that person inside, So yes, a Muslim jinn can dwell the body of a Muslim woman. Now about the bukhur. He's asking about the bukhur. Can we do the bukhur between Maghrib and Isha, or between Asr and Maghrib? Bukhur can be done at all times, not necessarily, between Asr and Maghrib or, But the bukhur, it's good to do the oud bukhur. The oud bukhur, why? Because it's a smell that is beautiful. And these jinni, they don't like beautiful things. They don't like beautiful smell, beautiful atr. So you can put this bukhur, you know what bukhur is? It's a scent that you burn. It's a scent that you burn, which is good, inshallah ta'ala, that you can, put in your home. It's a good smell. Nah. Is there a hadith? No, it's not a hadith. There's no hadith. It's just Ahl al-Ilm they have mentioned. There's no hadith that we know of that says about bukhur. Na'am akhi. Maybe because of sunset. This is what the brother says. But again, there's no sound evidence from the Prophet that we need to do bukhur between sunset and that. You can put bukhur in your home. It's just a beautiful smell. No, there's no, it's a scent. Okay, maybe a couple more questions. Na'am akhi. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Wa iyaakum akhi. Thank you for coming. Ameen. No. No. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful smell. Okay. No. The brother says there's in some home, there's sometimes we smell this beautiful smell, but we don't know where it's coming from. Is that what it is? We don't know where it's coming from. Is that the question? Yeah. It's not like any smell. It's just like it's on and off, and you have this very powerful smell, which is a good smell. Allahu Ta'ala a'lam. Allahu Ta'ala what could be, where that smell could be coming from. The bad smell that I mentioned earlier about, it's like it's coming off of your husband or your wife. She's fine. I mean, I can come, somebody else can come and they would not, smell that smell. But you as the spouse would have, would smell that bad smell, which would sort of like trigger you to divorce your wife or separate from your husband or your wife. It's the bad smell. So they don't like bad smell. But this beautiful smell that you're mentioning here, Allahu Ta'ala a'lam what it could be coming from. No, not this beautiful smell. I don't know what it is, akhi. I don't know what could be the reason, or what could be the source. It's a beautiful smell, so it's good. They don't need any sprays, alhamdulillah, in their home. Cool. Last one, inshallah ta'ala. You have anything from the online? At the end. The last one, inshallah ta'ala. I normally, wallahi, get flooded with questions, especially from the sisters. Flooded. But mashallah, durba is, mashallah, tabarakallah. They know, khalas, they understood everything, and I appreciate it, mashallah, tabarakallah. Last one, akhi. Tfaddal. All right, here's what happened one time. Freaky one? You want to hear it? All right. In Morocco, it's been said that in Morocco, they've got maybe the tribe of the biggest jinns sitting there. That's why there's a lot of jinn stories there in Morocco. And Egypt and... So what happened was, we were, not me, but somebody very close to me was doing this ruqyah. And the one who's doing the ruqyah, his name is Afia. And then he's doing this ruqyah on this woman. And then the jinni says, Wallahi, I will burn you and burn your home. And I will burn your home. You don't know who you're dealing with. He was the master of the jinn in that tribe, in that village. The man who was doing the ruqyah ignored him. He kept on reciting the Qur'an. And then he says, Ayyuhal jinn, I know you're here. He's talking about his soldiers because he says, I have soldiers waiting downstairs for me. They're all here. And then he says, I'm not going to talk to you. Ayyuhal jinn, this man, he's trying to, deviate you. This is what Allah says in the Qur'an. He started giving a lecture to the jinn. And as he's giving this lecture, wallahi, this woman was up and down, moving like this, shaking up and down. Up. exorcism. This is not exorcism. That's Hollywood. This is not Hollywood. She was just up and down, and he's just giving a lecture to his soldiers who will come in and then fight in their master. This is what your master is asking for. This is what he's doing. Fear Allah. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment is to you. If you don't fear him, this is if you don't repent, this is what you can do. This is what can happen. And he was, and it's, come out. And then this is what happens, subhanAllah, until it came out. So, the end of the story. The end. There's more, but, please do not read. Oh, so somebody said don't read out loud. So how can I answer the question? Don't read out loud. Assalamu alaikum. Don't read out loud. Okay, so here is in my pocket. I don't know, maybe she was in. Don't read out loud. Are aliens jinn? Beautiful question. Aliens, are they jinn? Allahu Ta'ala a'lam, but if you were to ask me, I think they are jinn. There is nothing that in the Qur'an and the Sunnah that talks about these aliens coming and they live in the universe and they live in some other galaxies and whatnot. But there were sightings, not only one, not two, not one, there were sightings. I think, Wallahu Ta'ala a'lam, it's really the jinn. I believe it's the jinn. One momento, please, por favor. Our family is harassed by relatives who perform witchcraft. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. My mother is getting help from Maulana. She is innocent and does not know that her method is wrong. How do I explain? Is your mother here? If the mother is here, alhamdulillah. If not here, then you can tell her nicely, Ya Ummi, Allah is the Shafi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This Maulana, he cannot even help himself. He's Maulana, he's miskeen. He cannot even help himself. So this particular thing that Maulana is giving you is going just to basically, deteriorate our situation. So here is a lecture that I have heard. The lecture is available on http://jins.dolba.org. You can listen to this lecture, Mom, online. HTTP does. What are you talking about? Yeah, this is where this presentation that I gave, this talk, it will be available inshallah ta'ala online. You can invite your mother to listen to this lecture inshallah ta'ala. Wallahi ukhti, I stopped doing ruqya. Somebody has asked me to do ruqya, I stopped doing ruqya. There is a friend of mine and I don't blame him. Because of things that had happened, he makes people sign consent. He makes them sign consent. He wants me to perform ruqya. He's a doctor, so okay, I'm gonna write a consent that if anything happens, I'm just doing ruqya on you. It might, things will, maybe your situation will worsen, but I'm gonna keep on doing it, until inshallah ta'ala. So, I don't want you to go and sue me, because it has happened in Toronto. Na'am, they sued, and this brother again, he stopped doing ruqya. Why? Because he's been sued. So, it's not the reason why I stopped is not because of that. No. It's time, very, very time consuming. Na'am, you mentioned that giving sacrifice to the garbage dump is evil. It's shirk, not even evil. What about people who purchase raw meat just for the purpose of throwing in a vacant park? Why? Why? People who purchase raw meat, to giving it to the jinn. This is shirk wal-'iyadhu billah. This is what maybe the shaytan is telling you to do. Jinni, purchase raw meat just for the purpose of throwing it in vacant park or to feed animals. Oh, okay. I didn't read that. Oh no, oh, okay, hold on. Because they think it will remove evil. Back to square one again. So I was right. And they are wrong. No, this is kufr. Don't do that. This is shirk. This is from the things that are muharramat. Last one. Aliens. Khalas, I'm done. Akhi. Announcements. Barakallahu fikum. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and bless this gathering. I hope from now on that you know about this word of jinn and put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and know how to safeguard yourselves. Please go back to the presentation and try to benefit and leverage off of it. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma hamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu.